I'll call to order the Tuesday, August 5th, 2025 Middleton Select Board meeting. A reminder for everybody here and at home that this meeting is being recorded. I will open the agenda with a need to enter executive session pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 2A3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation. We believe that an open meeting would have a detrimental effect to the litigation position. And this will be pursuant to the MBTA Communities Act, Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 3A. So I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay, there is a motion to enter executive session. There is a second. We will be returning to open session at the close of executive. So I'd ask the clerk to take the roll.
Rick?
Yes.
Costa?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
And I am a yes.
Okay, so we are entering executive session. We will return shortly. I'll call back to order the August 5th Select Board meeting. We have exited executive session. We are back in open session. So we are going to take out of order number 3. We are holding 2 public hearings this evening regarding liquor license violations. One of them is for 232 South Main Street, Vinham, which is a violation due to a walk-in cooler installation and a mounted sign. Cooler installation without a permit, mounted sign outside of requirements. Second is 156 South Main Street, Richdale, walk-in cooler installation and work without permits. Town Administrator, I know that you have some update for the board on where we are on the permit process.
Yes, Mr. Chair. So there is significant progress on both properties. However, it's going to take some time to actually right the ship and follow through on those permits. So we appreciate the partnership from those running the business, as well as their willingness to coordinate with Mr. Fitzpatrick. So at this point in time, I'd recommend continuing the hearing to your upcoming September 2nd meeting.
Okay, September 2nd. So permits are the permits, is the information complete, or at least the information that's needed fully submitted?
Yep,
It's
fully submitted with licenses and everything else. So now it's just a matter of following through and doing the inspections.
Inspections that need to occur. Okay. And on the sign as well, is there a,
I actually can't speak to the sign.
So relative to the sign, Jill Meehan, sorry, here on behalf of Vinham Liquors. So relative to the permits, yes, all applications have been filed. I know that Mr. Fitzpatrick is processing them. We're just waiting to be able to have the opportunity to have all the work inspected so that Mr. Fitzpatrick can sign off. So that's all been done. And we apologize for that inconvenience. And then relative to the sign, that sign, there was a misunderstanding, and for whatever reason, the sign got put up. It has been removed, and the sign company has taken it back. What we're waiting for now is the new sign application has been submitted showing the actual appropriate dimensions to Mr. Fitzpatrick. Once that is actually approved, then they'll actually fabricate the sign, but they're waiting for the permit to be issued.
okay, okay.
So I have a question that maybe you know or you don't know. If where they are right now, if somebody else were at this point in a project, would there be any issues? Because I'm wondering why continue this, because it seems like everything is where it, if they had originally got to the point they are now, would there not be any issues or reason to continue this hearing? That's my question.
No, through the typical process, I think if people were at this point, it would have been status quo, but I think given that it took having to get to this point to get movement, it would be appropriate to keep it, to follow through until it's complete.
And I agree with that, Jeff.
So we're a little less than 30 days until our next meeting, because we're on a July-August schedule, which is monthly instead of bi-weekly. So is the expectation, Justin, that 2 weeks from now, a week from now, the building commissioner should be in a position that some inspections will have occurred, and the dimensions on the sign issue will be addressed? Because I understand the rationale of keeping the hearing open, but what I don't want is to have everybody come back here in a month and us to say, okay, everything's good, thank you, and close it. So I would say keep it open. If the movement has happened and continued, to your point, Jeff, is happening in a way that is on its path to being closure within the next couple of weeks, the administrator and the building commissioner can inform both 232 South Main Street and 156 South Main Street that there is no need to come back on the 2nd. However, if it's not, for whatever reason, we'll continue towards the 2nd. Does that make sense?
Perfect.
I just have one. What about the red signs that is really bad for business? When can those come down? Do they have to wait? When can they remove those red signs on the buildings?
The work without a permit signs are you talking
Yeah.
about? Typically, once a permit is legally issued, those
So
would
that should
come
be any
down.
day now that they should be able to,
The stop work order
yeah.
notice.
So those signs will be,
Yeah,
so they'll
those-
be told that they can remove them at a certain point?
When the building permit gets posted, those typically can come down. So you need one to replace
Right.
the other.
And they'll know that. They'll be informed of that. Okay.
And, Mr. Chair, I can confirm the sign in question on the 232 is gone,
Yeah, I saw that.
the mounted sign.
Yep. Okay, so before I take a motion for,
Continuance of
Thank you.
both public
I
hearings
lost my
to a
word
date
there.
certain of September 2nd.
before I take a motion on that, just for those in the room and those at home, board doesn't take lightly calling everybody in here, Middleton businesses, Middleton residents. This board, and more specifically the building commissioner and actually the attorneys in the room understand this, we have to treat everybody the same. So, and there's a reason for a process it has to go through. I would always tell anybody, if there's ever a question, go to the building commissioner's office. If you feel like maybe the answer you're getting isn't the one that you wanted or you don't understand, reach out to the town administrator's office. Both the town administrator and the assistant town administrator can assist you through a process. This is, board doesn't like doing this. I'm sure the folks sitting in the room don't like doing this either. The attorneys don't like doing this either. There's a reason and a rationale for this. I can on the sign understand the confusion. There is both a sign bylaw, but there was also an agreement that occurred with that building and that property when it was originally developed. But sometimes a communication was like, hey, here's the sign we want to put up. The building commissioner could have answered that question. Now, if there was ever a case the building commissioner said, oh, no, it's this sign, and then you found out later it was a different size, our bad, not your bad. So I just want to say to those that are here and those at home, we don't take it lightly. Reach out, ask questions, don't stay silent, don't hope it goes away. And if you don't feel like the answers that you need to get, you understand, reach to the town administrator's office. They'll help you with that as well. So I would entertain a motion for a continuance to the 2nd, also with the caveat of what I mentioned, that if we are in good shape in the next week or two, you will hear from the town administrator or the building commissioner that no need to come back.
So moved.
There's a motion and a second.
Mr. Chair, can we just clarify that motion is to September 2nd at
September 2nd.
5:30 PM in this location at this address?
That's what I thought I said, yeah.
Okay. Just so we're clear for the minutes taker.
Thanks, Jackie.
Thank you.
And that motion was just for one of them? Or
For both,
For
232
Okay.
South Main Street and 156 South Main Street. Okay, there is a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, if any? Okay,
Arthur Carricksani for Rich Steels.
sure.
I would just suggest if this communication, if I at least either direct to me or be copied, there is a language barrier.
Yeah, absolutely.
with applicants that's not easy.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely. We'll
It's
make
been an
su-
issue right from the
Yeah,
beginning.
we'll make sure that communication happens both to the licensees and attorneys.
Thank you.
Okay. I hope I don't see everybody next month.
I hope I don't see you either, but have a great rest of the summer.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, returning to the agenda, we're going to go to the business section and take out of order in the business section an update on the municipal campus update. I was just going to say, and I think we have Brian LaRoche with us here as well.
Hey, Brian.
Well, we figured
Thank you.
You cooled your heels for a while. We want you to get back to the job site. Because you guys work 24/7 now, right?
Yeah, well, it seems so. Right? Neighbors would be unhappy if we were doing that. Jackie, I don't see Rec 13 on the list. Do you want me to skip over that? It was.
I don't think the building committee voted
They
it.
did.
Oh.
At their last meeting, they
Then
did.
you can-
I can present? Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Brian, the floor is yours.
Okay,
I know
great.
Jackie's getting us set up on the screen, but
Yeah.
take your time.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here to give you an update on the Middleton Municipal Campus project. Things are going quite well. Let me get this slideshow going here from the beginning. Why is it not showing? There it is. Okay, excellent. So we'll give you a similar update to that we've given to you before on the project. I have some photos to show you some of the progress that's going on. I know Paul and I spoke earlier. He's going to come and join me at the job site for another tour next week, so we'll have a new video that we can share with some of the progress. So, but I'll show you what we have. So we continue to issue once a month our OPM report. It's a very detailed report. This is just 3 of the pages of about a dozen pages. So that we share with the town administrator's office and the building committee, and hopefully they share it with you. Project schedule, the project, this is the original project schedule we presented when we first began. Everything is tracking per the original schedule, so we're very happy to report that. We're not tracking anything of significance in terms of material leads or anything like that, so we have everything we need to get the project done on time. So it's just a matter of weather so far has been cooperating. Summer is good. We're catching up on the site. We have 3 crews working on site because the spring was a bit wet and the winter was a bit cold, so we definitely were a little behind there, but they're catching up now. So I'm pretty happy to report that we're tracking for a completion in the end of January of this coming January. So this is a view of the site not too long ago. You can see the 2 buildings are largely complete on the outside. Masonry work is just doing some small detail, caulking, just trim work. Painters working on painting the trim around the windows. The site work, they're putting the curbing in around the access road that's going to bring you into behind the town hall. Landscaping has already been finished behind town hall as well. The 2 septic fields you can see in the foreground here for both buildings is just about complete, and they're starting to bring fill in to the town common area. So that area is...
I see our big Mount Middleton is getting smaller.
We're starting to work away at that, yeah. So so the next phase is to work on the town green, getting the loom in that area. So behind the public safety building, they'll be doing paving in about 2 weeks. We'll have binder paving down behind the public safety building. These are some photos of the site. So a lot of the underground utilities now are all underground. And now we're starting to bring up the finish and get everything complete on the site. Here's a close-up view of this is the public safety building. Police on the left and fire on the right, main entry in the center. This was 2 weeks ago, so even now, there's even more work complete from that point. They have air conditioning set up in front of the building. It's a temporary air conditioning. That way they can do climate control, because we're starting to do painting and casework. Installations are going on right now. This is one of the administrative office area corridors, and then one of the administrative office areas. You can see the casework ready to be installed, and then overhead that duct is the temporary air for the building. You can see this is one of the meeting spaces on the 2nd floor of the public safety building. This is town hall building. Other than for construction access, that's the only reason there's a portion that's left out. But largely everything is complete on the outside, so it's really just some of the finish work that's going on now, the detail. On the inside of town hall, so it's a little further behind, but that's intentional. We have a flow to the construction so that the trades sort of move from one to the next. But even then, I was in there this morning, and this has all been painted out. So these just 2 weeks ago, it went from looking like this to it's all been painted with 2 coats of paint, and it's looking pretty good. So these are the town hall offices. This is the first area as you walk down on the first floor, and then this is the lobby area on the top right with the stair up to the second floor and where the hearing room will be. And then on the upper level, similar, you can see some paint on the wall for some of the finish, and then this is the upper level lobby, and then beyond on this picture here in the lower part, you can see is the hearing room beyond. And then website stays current. We have blog posts. We just put a new one up for the communication tower, which was just installed recently, and all new photos. So we keep the photos updated. They're all no more than 2 weeks old. So if you ever want to see any pictures of what's going on, we keep the website current under the construction tab. Project budget update, nothing significant to report. Everything is tracking along to our budget. We're in a very good position for most of what we have in the budget. Under administration, which is really OPM, everything is just, we're drawing down contract values, similar for architecture, engineering, just drawing down whatever has already been awarded to contract. There's really nothing in terms of uncommitted funds within there. We had some money set aside for traffic engineer. Some of the work we have going on in Route 114, we have hired a resident engineer per our permit with DOT, so that's some costs that we just allocated. And then under other project costs, we have some uncommitted for furniture, fixtures, and equipment. But our design team has been working with the town administrator's office on finalizing furniture. So we're talking about within a month, I think we should have a better handle of where the budget's going to land for that. And then we were talking about today of probably ordering furniture in October because we'll need it at the end of January. So we're in good position right now in terms of furniture. Technology side, Jackie, you've been very helpful in facilitating with Danvers IT. So same position, we have all of our vendors signed up, all the contract values are there, all the money's been allocated. So we're feeling like we have a pretty good handle of the budget right now, and everything's tracking to what we thought. Construction is the same. Right now, we're about $32 million billed to date, and we look at a couple different things in terms of the construction schedule. We also look at the burn rate on money. It's also telling us that we're right on track where we need to be in terms of the billing on the project too. So we're still, our construction team has reported to us they have just under $4 million of uncommitted funds within their budget. That's allowances. Those are contingency funds that are available. Some of those are being used now. Justin, you've seen, we do have a lot of coordination happening now, a lot of different trades. So some of the PCOs are coming in for allocating some of our allowances. We had our winter conditions costs just come in recently, so a lot of that money will start to be drawn down. So the money's in the budget. So it's just a matter of they present to us all the backup, we review and we approve any usage of contingency within their budget. This is under the construction contract. On the owner's side, we have just over $4 million of uncommitted funds between our hard cost contingency and our soft cost contingency. And you can see that, my mouse, it's actually the 2 white lines all the way to the right. You can see the uncommitted funds there. And we are using, there are some change orders that come to us. They're relatively small, but we have had a few that have hit. And I'm going to show you change order number 8 in just a moment. So within budget, we do have some moving money around. Construction testing, the company that we originally hired to do that, we hired them to do envelope testing, window testing, and air vapor barrier testing. So we're using them a little bit more. So we just transferred some money this month to cover some of our billings. And then owner contingency, our station alerting, we ended up adding that scope to the project. And so that we had to move some money to match the contract value. Other than that, these are minor moves within our budget. And then cash flow, as I said, sort of we're tracking right where we want to be in the project to finish on time. And then some additional services requests that we're working through right now. Valley Communications is the town's vendor for AV, and so this we've been working with them and Verizon and Comcast about the broadcasting services, make sure that we have the proper equipment for broadcasting just like we do in this room. So we just received those quotes in now. Alex, who works for me, has just done a very deep dive in the review, and it's now with the town administrator's office for their evaluation. So we're not ready to execute any of these just yet. And then with working with the fire department, Chief Lacoste, the fire alarm circuits for the street circuits, talking about getting that migrated over. So we just received the price from LW Bills. So at our next building committee meeting, we'll be presenting that to them for their approval.
So, could I ask a question on that, and because the chief's here too? So, if I understand, that's like the pull boxes that you see. So, I've noticed, not on buildings, but some of the pull boxes that you've seen on streets have started to disappear. So, like, there was one at the end of my street that, I don't know if it had been damaged, and it just disappeared. Is that something that fire department's moving away from?
So if we have a system or a box that needs excessive work, we, in most cases, just decide to take it out instead of repairing it. So.
Are there, like, if a new development was being built tomorrow, is a new pull box going in that development? So, at some point in some future date, those really won't exist.
On the streets, correct?
Yeah, the street. I mean, they'll still be on the side of buildings, commercial buildings, there's one on the side of this building and so forth, but the ones on the streets will just disappear.
Yep.
So this is for just the street side, or the street and
Street.
not those that are on buildings?
No, it's for the ones on buildings as well.
Oh,
So the
well.
ones on buildings and streets.
Okay.
Well, yeah, the master, so it's the master box system.
That-
Right, that receives the signal from the fire alarms. Yes, sorry, yeah. So from the buildings as well. Yeah.
Okay. So, you may not know this, actually, you probably do. How many boxes do we have in town? I don't need an exact number,
Yeah,
but,
I would say a couple hundred maybe, if that.
and most of them are on buildings, or most of them are in?
Most of them are on buildings.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Appreciate
sure.
it. Thanks, Brian.
Yep. All right, so that's it for additional services requests. We have construction requisition for payment this month that's ready for your approval. The building committee has reviewed it and recommended that you approve it. So it's for $3,326,005. And as I said, it's just in line with what we want to see for the project at this point. It matches up with what we projected for cash flow. Both the design team and our office has been through this very detailed requisition. It's about 80 pages long. So we have been through it extensively and provided comments, and this is the revised. So we do recommend that you approve this construction requisition number 13. So is that, Justin, does that end up being in your warrant presentation to the building committee? Is that, so I don't need to do that here?
I'm sorry, I
The
don't,
requisition 13,
Will get voted with the
will that be
warrant.
on the warrant that you'll be
through the
presenting?
building committee?
It is.
No, for this.
Oh, for this, yes,
It's on,
correct.
Yeah.
Well, we have
603.
So, 3326, we have here 3333. Are those two different
So-
ones?
No.
Requisition-
That's part of the 333.
There's
That's a
also
part of-
miscellaneous project expenses.
That's part of the facilities warrant that's in front of you tonight.
Got it.
Great, so it's already
FP676.
captured it there, so there's no particular vote. Great. And then the only other business item I have for you tonight is change order number 8 in the amount of $14,829. The detail on this, the one item that actually increases the construction contract, there was the training wall, we have an exterior and an interior, and in order to comply with NFPA requirements, we needed to add a second tie-off point that wasn't shown in the documents. So that actually ends up being 4 different tie-off points. And so this change order, which is PCO 94, adds $14,498 to the project. The other ones that I've highlighted in turquoise are GMP contingency draws. They are within contracts, so that's not an increase to the construction contract. And anything I've highlighted in green our allowances. So these are costs that we knew that were going to be incurred at some point in the project. We had allowances within the contract.
A winter condition that you mentioned.
Yeah, so winter conditions, we had unsuitable soils, we hit ledge. So we anticipated some of these things when we developed the construction contract. So these are just us allocating actual cost against an allowance. So this change order 8 is on your agenda for approval tonight for change order number 8. And that's all I have for you. Do you have
Great
any
job.
questions for me?
It's really impressive.
Thanks.
I see we now have a new streetlight.
Like you do. Yes.
And for those at home that are watching, that is not going to be a streetlight that is going to be all the time. That is for when emergency equipment is coming and going.
That is correct. It will be dark until it's notifying that equipment is coming out.
It's any traffic in and out of that, if I'm not mistaken.
No, only for the fire apparatus only, emergency signal. Yep.
So I'll move to approve change order number 8 for $14,829.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, if any? Okay, change order number 8 is approved. Brian, thank
Fantastic.
you for
Thank you.
always a great presentation, but more importantly, the great work you and the team are doing there. Really appreciate it.
Very much. Thank you. All right. Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks.
Okay, back to the top of the business agenda. You have before you warrant number 2601. We had discussed at a previous meeting, but we also have in front of us warrant 2602 and 2603, as well as Facilities Project 66 and Facilities Project 67. Justin, anything specific you want to call out on these?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll try to be brief because we're running behind a little bit. Warrant 2601 dated July 10th, 2025. Totals in $335,000 on the payroll side. You'll note fire and police overtime are still kind of lingering. It's never been the expectation with the new roles that overtime would completely go away, but once the new folks get on board, we do anticipate to try to watch and see a reduction. It's going to take a couple months for that to click. For bills payable, coming in at about $3.6 million. You'll see some heavy hitters there, the fiscal 26 Maya renewals, insurance renewals. Under fire, the first due subscription's about $22,000. And for the treasurer's office, $2.6 million is the Essex Regional Assessment. It's a pretty big one. Turning the page for warrant 2602 dated July 24th, 2025, totaling in at $709,000 on the payroll side. Once again, about $17,000 in overtime for fire, about $10,000 in overtime for police. Bills payable coming in just under $1.5 million. Poll pads for the clerk's office, the new Chevy Tahoe under the fire department that was an annual town meeting appropriation through the capital plan. Some water main items under the DPW. And then, of course, Facilities Project 66 at the bottom there, a little bit lighter, coming in at $205,000, some smaller construction costs and design costs. And then dated August 7th, warrant number 2603 for payroll coming in at about $680,000. Once again, overtime for police and fire. A little bit less there for summer help under the DPW. A huge thank you to them. For bills payable, $4.7 million, about $10,000 for equipment repair and $4,500 or so for radios for the fire department. The big ones there, it's $3,123,000 for the Masco assessment out of the treasurer's office, as well as about $850,000 for debt service. For FP 67 that we just referenced, there's about $7,000 for miscellaneous project expenses, but a bulk of that is the $3.3 million in construction dollars, most of which you just ran through right there. So that's everything at this time for the warrants.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve warrants 2601, 2602, 2603, Facilities Project 66, and Facilities Project 67.
Do we have to approve Facilities Project 65 also, which should have been part of 2601?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's not on my list.
So we have 66 and 67. I think 65 came through on the previous.
But, yeah, since we didn't adopt, formally
601.
approve 601, would it mean
I think it was on, it was
60.
paired with the warrant prior to 2601. They don't
64.
always.
Okay,
64 and 65 are both approved at your July 8th meeting.
okay.
So 2601, 2602, 2603, Facilities 66, Facilities 67. We have a motion by Rick. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Deb. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, if any? Okay, that passes unanimously. In your package, you have minutes, open session July 8th, 2025, and executive session July 8th, 2025. Any comments on the minutes?
You do not have executive session in your packet, you only have open session.
Oh, okay. I will scratch off the executive session. Is there any discussion on open session July 8th?
Move to approve.
A second.
Okay, motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, if any? Okay, passes unanimously. Town Administrator, update and report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We continue to meet with the library union at regular intervals. We're hoping to wrap up in the next 1 or 2 gatherings. Are really close, so a huge thank you to them as we've worked through that process together. We've completed the first round of interviews for the facilities director position. We've reposted for that. This is one that we really want to make sure that we get right, so we'll get another round through, talk to a few more individuals, and hopefully we can land somebody that makes sense for the needs of the community. We're in the process of finalizing furniture choices, as Mr. LaRoche referenced. That's been quite the undertaking. At this point in time in Memorial Hall, there's 4 desk chairs down in the hallway labeled A, B, C, and D, and the staff have been trying them out. And then, of course, the desks and armoires when appropriate, the dorms and the public safety building. There's a lot to consider there, so we continue to work through that. Members of our team met with Lytics last week, I believe, or maybe the week before. It's a company that develops software that tracks more or less in real time active collective bargaining agreements throughout all the municipalities in the Commonwealth. It's an extraordinarily helpful tool, especially I think for us, given that we're going to be opening all of our agreements in the next couple months. It may be worth making that investment, so we're working on negotiating a proposal with them. We'll see what that costs, and we'll bring it back. The window for flexible spending accounts closed today. I just want to thank the treasurer's office really quickly for all the effort it takes to collect those and process them and put them in. Thank you for that. The library vacancy, or library director vacancy, has been reposted, and we are also scheduling second round interviews for the assistant librarian position. And also, of course, thank you to the team over there and Jackie for keeping things afloat in the meantime. MassDOT has confirmed that work for the Maple Street Bridge will be advertised in April of 2026, so this upcoming year, and they have received and accepted a 25% design, so that is happening. That's usually a good indicator that it's happening. We continue to meet with the schools, I'd say on a bi-weekly basis, to identify a solution for the parking and busing issue down at Fuller Meadow. So we're looking at different options, obviously, as the summer's coming to a close and the children will be returning soon in the fall. So once there's a final determination there, we'll communicate it. We've kicked off the fiscal 27 budget process, shockingly, early, but deliberately early, communicating to department heads in particular our intention to use a zero-based budgeting approach. We're really trying to tighten things up this year because we know it's going to be a difficult year ahead. We are holding Monday, October 6th for our annual Employee Appreciation Day. See all the pens coming out here. Monday, October 6th. So more details to follow there. Thank you. And lastly, the International Overdose Awareness Vigil is set to be held outside the Flint on Wednesday, August 27th at 6 p.m. Thank you to the Board of Health for coordinating that important event and helping create some visibility for that. Certainly a challenge. And that is everything for now.
A couple questions, if I could, Mr.
Sure.
Chairman. So on the facilities manager, that's been reposted just to enhance your candidates?
Yep.
And what's, so you got some in it preliminaries, and then do they have to resubmit, or are they held, in those applicants held in abeyance until you get, how does that work?
We had well, it varies anytime we post a position. So in this particular instance, we had a decent response. We interviewed three individuals and then ultimately determined, well, we certainly appreciate their talents, that maybe they didn't quite align with what we needed specifically. So we revised the posting a little bit. It may have come across as a little snow heavy, based on some of the responses we got in some of the interviews, which is certainly an element. I think we wanted to be careful that we were making it clear to people that in inclement weather they're expected to be in, but that's only one element of a pretty multifaceted and complex position. So we reworked the posting, and we also put the full amount that we have available budgeted to see if it'll kind of drum up a little bit more support. But there's a lot that follows under, or that will fall under the umbrella of that role. It's a complex role, and it takes a fairly unique individual, I think, to be successful in that role. So we want to make sure we get the right person. I think, we are close, but we want to make sure we get the right one. So.
I appreciate your view on remote work for that position. I don't imagine that's at all feasible.
Yeah, not really effective.
Second, I have one more. Same with the library director? Not happy with the earlier.
Would you rather speak to that?
I can speak to that. So because of the way that we have structured it, we have a screening committee involved with the library director, with members of this body, members of the library trustees, a designee by this board of a member of the Friends, and then an at-large designated by this body and by the trustees. So when you invoke a preliminary screening committee, you have to have enough people for the preliminary screening committee to review, that you have a group of finalists that you then report back to the appointing authority, which is this body, and the trustees together jointly. I did not feel we had sufficient applicants with the appropriate credentials and experience to have you be successful as a preliminary screening committee and be able to report enough finalists back under the open meeting law requirements of preliminary screening committees. So what I've done is reached out to all of our existing people and said, hi, we've updated the posting, we've extended the time frame, are you still interested? And confirmed to keep them in abeyance, essentially, and then to try to gather a few more folks. It's not a reflection of the people that we do have in the pool, but it is a reflection of the number of people that we have in the pool. So we'd like to expand it quantity, but not quality.
Can we ask how many were in the pool?
Not-
A rough number, I don't need exact.
Like less than double digits.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on the administrator's report?
Oh, and the
Update?
bridge again, is that 25% plan with a public hearing schedule, or was that to come? Because I know that's how.
That is to come.
Okay.
Yeah. So they
They want to land
reviewed
it sometime
accepted
in 26.
Yeah.
The good news here is, every year in the last, I don't know how many years, the notice from MassDOT was, we're postponing this another year. So this is the first time they
Every
haven't said
year
that.
since I've been on this board.
They've actually invested resources, and there's something tangible this
Yeah.
time, so this is the one.
Can't tell you how happy I would be.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Justin. Okay, next on the agenda is a vote regarding Ambridge Hospitality LLC, an application for a change of interest ownership regarding their ABCC application. I know they are not here this evening, nor do they have attorney, but Justin, if you could just update the board on what's before us.
So it's just a change of interest ownership, ABCC application. It's really not much more to say beyond that. They tend to change fairly frequently.
Yep.
Same manager on site, or it'd be a different manager?
No change of manager.
No change of
Manager.
manager?
It's just a corporate restructuring.
And it is the most convoluted ownership structure I've ever run across.
Certainly is.
So I would ask on the issue of ownership structure, do we still have clear line of sight to, because we have had in the past, they've had to fly in here from California for a public hearing at this board's request because of past instances of poor communication. Is it still the same attorney? And is it
It's-
still the same corporate offices that both have promised us if there was an issue, reach out to one or the other?
So if you look at page 4 of your packet of the PDF. I can affirm for you that it's still, the application contact remains Whitney Gillings, whom you will recall flew out from Texas when we required them to have the attorney present. It is still Blue Bonnet Consulting that is managing their interactions with us. And at this time, I have not been made aware of any changes or issues from any of our departments that would enable us to not move forward with this. And I will say that I did indicate to them that they did not need to come because the manager's in good standing. It is only a corporate structure change. It's people we will likely never see. And
No, I appreciate that. I just wanted to make sure that there
they've
was.
been communicative is
Yeah.
my point.
Okay.
And they've done this in a prompt way. And I will say that with this particular application, it is on the ABCC versus the town to do all the background checks and the quarry work
Mm-hmm.
and the investigations, which are required if you have a financial interest in a liquor
Yeah, no,
business.
my point wasn't so much about whether or not they've been communicative. It's the people in the past that they had told us, if you feel we're not communicative, call this person or that person.
those
I just
remain.
want to make sure that they remain.
Yep, the manager and the application contact both remain steady.
Okay, so I would accept a motion for the change of interest and ownership for the ABCC application of Ambridge Hospitality LLC.
So move.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, if any? Okay, that is unanimous. Okay, for appointments and reappointments, we have before us the annual reappointment of the Planning Board alternate. Just recently, Cheryl McCormick had agreed to serve as a Planning Board alternate, and as you know, that is an annual appointment. So here we are in July for a reappointment of Cheryl as the Planning Board alternate.
And this was completed by the planning board at their July
Yes.
meeting, as this is a joint appointment.
And we still have one opening for a planning board alternate?
We do. We have an alternate on the planning board, an alternate on the zoning board of appeals, two
Didn't we
I thought
appoint,
we
last
just did
meeting, we appointed the
somebody to be
ZBA?
alternate ZBA.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it was,
We did, and I
Maribito?
thought it was
Maribito?
Cheryl.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I thought it
Yep.
was Cheryl.
No, it was.
Cheryl's
Oh,
planning,
was?
Maribito is ZBA, but there's two ZBA alternates.
No, then we have,
Linda, I'm sorry.
Yep.
My list is wrong. The website will get updated.
Okay, so,
so-
but Maribito is good for this
ZBA
current
is
year.
good.
Okay.
Yep. There's one more seat on the planning board alternate.
Okay, folks at home or here in the audience, who wants to be a member of the planning board? Step right up. So we have an alternate position. Folks at home, if you're interested, reach out to the town administrator's office or the town planner that can assist you with understanding the role if you'd like to serve as a planning board alternate. That is an appointed position, not an elected position. Okay, so I would take a motion to reappoint Cheryl McCormick.
Make a
And this is for a
motion,
term through June 30th, 2026.
make a motion to reappoint Cheryl McCormick for the planning board alternate,
I'll second.
effective through June 30th, 2026.
Okay, thank you, Deb. We have a motion by Deb and a second by Jeff. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, if any? Okay, that passes unanimously. Okay, public comment. It's the time in the agenda for the folks in the public that would like to comment on anything. If it is something that is on the agenda, I'd ask you to hold it till that agenda topic. But this is your chance if you'd like to be heard on anything that you'd like to bring before the board. Okay, hearing none. Okay, next on the agenda, I think there's a few folks in the room that would like to be heard, but also hear what's happening. This is an ongoing process of the Central Street traffic and congestion and speeding issues that have happened there. We have implemented the recommendations that came from our consultant. As part of that process, there was an agreement that there would be some further review at dates in the future. And here we are on August 5th to talk about some of the data that has been received from both traffic and pedestrian items over there. You will see for the board and for the public, there is some information in your package, but I would leave this to you, Justin, to give us an update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to run through this on a high level, and once again, my apologies for, I know we're running behind a little bit, so thank you for sitting through some of these other things, but I will also remind everybody we remain behind and there's still a lot to go on the agenda, so I'm going to try to be quick, but we'll give it the time it deserves. So for the board's reference available in your packet, there's a notice of a survey that was distributed on July 23rd, 2025. I hand-delivered to all residences on Central Street and Washington, and then followed up with a mailed notice that should have gone people's mailbox probably that following weekend. We did receive responses for that survey, once again, on a high level, just trying to take a look at different elements of how folks in that neighborhood view traffic in Middleton in general, how they view traffic on their particular street, how they feel about the raised tables that were installed in the fall of 2024, and whether they felt they were effective, whether they'd like to see more or fewer of those if it were an option, and whether or not they'd want to see them on Central or Washington. We did have 11 responses, and we appreciate those responses, and I think, as I referenced in the email, useful data, it doesn't quite rise to the level in terms of having a sample size that can dictate policy, but it provides interesting insight from the neighbors that I wouldn't want to discount. So thank you for those that participated. Also in your packet, there is, as we had committed in the last time that this group had met, having the police department step up enforcement, but also put traffic readers down there to try to log data, once again, trying to make data-driven decisions. And I think what we run into a lot is sometimes it may feel like there's more speeding happening, not just in this neighborhood, but in any given neighborhood, particularly when the neighborhoods are tighter by design, the vehicles are a little closer to your home or to the sidewalk, and particularly when you have young families, it matters a little bit more, and that's something that speaks to my heart a little bit, as well as a parent of 2 young kids. So what we did receive in terms of data, I think, tells an interesting story. The goal, based on the Federal Highway Administration, is try to have about 85% or more of vehicles at or under the limit. And in the instances, 5 instances, 5 separate months where we collected data, we did find that 4 out of those 5, we did succeed in hitting that limit. With that said, of course, you always want to strive for improvements, and that's not to say we shouldn't bother trying, but I think that's an important takeaway. The good piece of this data, in my opinion, and we'll hear from the neighbors, is in the month that we didn't hit that 85%, it helps us identify, why is that month an outlier? We can ask questions in terms of what's happening that time of year that's not happening in other times of the year. Baseball comes to mind. If it's, parents rushing through the neighborhood trying to come around and get to the fields, they're running late for practice or a game, or people are visiting that maybe typically wouldn't be in that neighborhood. That's a distinct possibility, and so that's an opportunity, I think, for us to try to collaborate with those teams in advance at the start of the season, trying to remind and encourage parents or visitors to be more mindful of the fact that they're driving through a neighborhood and that people live there, and that they should be more conscious of their speed. It's also actually interesting to see from the total car column, when school is out of session, how much the traffic drops significantly in that area, which is certainly interesting. And then one last point. So out of these 5 instances, they weren't at the same location every time. The last 3 we did determine at the end of the end of Central Street in that municipal lot for vehicles coming inbound. It was a good opportunity for us to capture data with consistency, but by switching up some locations, we did determine that vehicles coming in right off of 114, getting onto Central Street initially, speed typically seems to be a little higher than what you find further down the road. So that tells us a couple items. One is that traffic calming measures at the top of Central Street would be appropriate in terms of reviewing potential infrastructure upgrades. The other is that vehicles are slowing down as they make their way down Central Street, maybe not to the degree that everybody wants all the time, but you can actually see that in the data. Part of that is reflective of the tables, which if you park there and watch, which I have on several occasions, and I encourage anyone else to, 9 out of 10 vehicles, you'll see their taillights light up as they approach the raised table. So that tells us they are reducing their speed. Now, is that bringing them down to 20? Or, are they going 30 and it's only bringing them down to 25? I couldn't say, I'm not sitting there with a radar gun. But I can tell you that it is creating a positive response from drivers that we do want to see. And so I think the last element of this, and I see Mr. DeBonis is here as well, so thanks for coming out, is how do we better foster a partnership with the schools when we talk about behavioral changes, whether it be communications out to the parents, and I'll leave that to the schools to discuss. But I think, some type of meeting coming into the start of the school year may be appropriate. Once again, to help us recognize that, well, infrastructure improvements are an important element of this, and I think we've done a lot of that. Restriping, cutting back shrubs or blocking signs, putting in new signs. We've stepped up police enforcement, but the third piece is human behavior, and if we can try to find ways to collaborate with the schools to address that, I think that would be helpful as well. So with that, that was my best attempt at being brief, but there's a lot to cover there. So if the board has any questions, or if, of course, at the discretion of the chair, if anybody in the audience has any questions or statements, I welcome them at this time.
So first I'll open up to the board if there's any questions or comments. So I just say, one point, I appreciate the 11 folks, I think it was 11, that took the time to respond to the survey. To your point, sometimes it's not really statistically, I wasn't going to say accurate, but it's not
Significant.
significant. Thank you, Jackie, you're helping me with all my synonyms today, thank you.
I love it.
It's not statistically,
Significant.
thank you, Jackie, significant.
It's been a long night.
It's been a long night already. However, I view this as a snapshot in time. And the comments from the neighbors, a couple of things that stand out to me. What surely stands out is nobody believes traffic in Middleton is better or slightly better than anywhere else in the North Shore. So, and I don't say that like tongue-in-cheek, I say that honestly, which is, the factors of what's happening, not just the school traffic here, but the traffic overall in Middleton, and specifically in, near, and around our center of town. Secondly, some other things that have stood out is specifically around improvement. What stands out here from both folks that are responding as well as anecdotal and other items I have is there are some folks that just don't understand a speed limit sign. One of the things we asked at town meeting this year when we asked for the voters to make an investment in new police and fire staff is, and the voters overwhelmingly stood up and said yes. Part of that was what that'll mean when the staff is on, specifically in the police department, for more targeted enforcement, both at a neighborhood like this, but across the entire town. That's something that I know the chief and the captain and the staff and the sergeants over there are beginning that process as more staff are coming on board. We've made some appointments. I think there's still one vacancy left. Well, there'll actually be two because there was a promotion. So, but one net new vacancy to be filled. So I know some of the comments were, I saw one of the actual comments was, if you're going over 30, you should be ticketed, period. I think you will see, once we are at a higher staff, there'll be more of an ability for that to happen, not just in this neighborhood, but word to the wise, town-wide. I give the example, I've had folks call me saying, I'd like to see more target enforcement in my neighborhood, and then I've had that same person say, and I got a ticket. So word to the wise, realize that is now becoming more of a reality here as our staffing shortages are becoming less. And then lastly, just to thank you to the neighbors before I open it up to something I hear. Thank you to the neighbors for the input that you've provided us. I think this has been an extremely good collaboration between the neighbors, between the schools, between the town and DPW to try to find a solution that would provide some improvement in a neighborhood that has unfortunately dealt a lot of issues around speeding and traffic, especially during the school year. I'd like to hone in on one last point that you brought up, Justin. of that outlier. What was causing that one time when it was below the 85%? I think we can do a much better job as a town of working with the folks that are using our fields down there, sports and other activities, to make sure that reminders are happening beyond the signs, beyond the speed tables, beyond common sense, but also a reminder of when you're going through the neighborhood, of picking up or dropping off, or even going down to use the courts or the fields or anything that down there. Please be a good neighbor. Again, that'll be followed up with targeted enforcement as our staff numbers have gone up. But this is really helpful, not just the survey, but the other data. But at this point, I'd open it up. I know we have some folks from the neighborhood here.
I have a question before. Sure. Sorry. And I hope I'm not jumping ahead, but on the summary of speed analysis, I'm not quite sure what page, if that has a number, it says 7C. As you look along, just take the first line. You have under limit, over limit, it listed in percentage. And then you have excessive in percentage, but yet on the right, there are values under 30, 35, 40. Are those individual vehicles?
I think those are individual speeds that were captured.
Or the actual, no,
Yeah, let me look along so I make sure I'm
Sorry.
reading the right. No, you're fine. I had set it aside.
Yeah, that's page 140 in the package. Oh, sorry.
oh, it is, I'm sorry, it's 140, it is.
You-
Do you need it electronically so it's faster?
Yeah, if you could.
No, actually, what he's referencing is actually in the agenda package, which should also be online.
It's the Excel sheet that I emailed. Yep, thank you.
Got it.
Oh, so the far right was the max speed that was clocked.
So who is clocked at this? So,
And you have, at over 30, there were 9 vehicles, over 35, 6?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
and we had at least one vehicle that traveled 49 miles an hour down that road.
Right. And so, in talking with the captain, and we discussed that, I think the hard part is on the data, you know, that could be 2 in the morning. It could be, and it wouldn't be appropriate, but it could be, you know, something, if a call went out and an officer was parked at the end of the lot and bombed out of Central Street in the middle of the night. We're not sure what it could be, and I think the difficult part is we don't have the ability to park an officer there all the time. Right? And that's why I think having some of this data where it can at least show us like where the instances where speeding is happening more frequently, then we can use our resources in a more targeted way that's gonna have a better outcome, or the desired result, I should say. But it's definitely a challenge.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. Anything else, Rick?
No, thanks, I just didn't know that.
Okay, so any comments? And if, come up, just for the record, if you could state your name and address.
Sure. Devin Miffle, 34 Central Street. Yeah, so I do think it has been a positive collaboration. I don't think there's any doubt about it. There's been progress made. Decisions in the mitigation that was put in was data-driven. I think if we look back at the studies that were done, there was other mitigation recommended at the top of Central Street. In those last 3 lines in the data set that were taken, the last 3 instances would absolutely support, including the 67% that didn't comply, to Justin's point, that mitigation at the top of Central Street is important. The further data that would support that is on Washington Street, which of course we know has the grade that helps. Central Street has the grade down that works against it. Is that on Washington Street, the 2 speed mitigation, the 2 humps have clearly made an improvement on Washington Street. And if you look at the survey, I think the bulk of the responses are from Central Street, because excessive speed, no matter how many of our great police and fire are available to try to be there 24/7, they're not going to be. So there has to be mitigation. And I think the mitigation at the top of Central Street is the next step. I think there are some steps that are in those 2 studies that would also offer recommendations in terms of signage, and also potentially traffic patterns. You talk about partnering with the schools, other groups. Traffic pattern improvement could absolutely go a long way, especially during those school times where I bet you a lot of data that's high are people rushing in late to pick up their kids, and they're trying to avoid that long lineup. So they're just coming in late, coming in hot to get their kids. So I think just to summarize, there's a few more steps to be made. I think the traffic studies that were done support that, and the mitigation at the top of Central Street should be an absolute priority, especially as we get close to the end of construction season. The progress that was made is great, but I think there's a few more things we can do, and we would appreciate your support in making that happen. Dave, if you want to add your comments.
David DeBonis, 11 Olson Way. I'm here in support. There has been a lot of communication with the school committee, also with the superintendent's office, and essentially I support what his comments, in which, if you look at the statistics that I've viewed, Washington Streets has like 87% within the speed limit, and I think Central Street's at like 63%. It's significantly lower. So obviously steps have been made to improve the situation, but maybe there could be some additional mitigation to either adding an additional speed hump or something that within the study that'll help that traffic slow down a little bit more. I mean, for me, it's simply, for all of us, public safety, the kids. I think there's been improvements, but we could maybe improve it a little bit more with maybe minimal, a little bit of cost. But definitely they've been very cooperative. We've spoken to them as far as communication. I know Jeff Bryson's pretty good about sending out reminders. One of the points that was made also is that there's some after-school programs which contribute to traffic situations and also speeding. And maybe some of those after-school programs have to also have more communication with the parents, because I think it's happening with the schools, but possibly the after-school programs haven't been communicated. Maybe the people running the programs, which we've talked about with the superintendent and also the principal, they could be notified, hey, if you're dropping your kids off, can you please be cautious of the speeds and stuff like that. So definitely it's communication, but ultimately if we can mitigate a little bit more on Central Street, I think it would be positive.
David, so I appreciate that. One of the things that I assume to an extent this has been done, so have we taken an inventory of, an individual going down on their own and playing basketball? We don't know who that is, but we have a pretty good inventory of who's using our fields and who's going down there. Have we taken an inventory of these groups and just made sure that we've, I'm not going to put it all on the school, like
Sure.
we've got rec utilization and, baseball, softball teams and so forth. If we've taken a inventory and made sure that we've communicated with all of them. And secondly, thinking about sports as different seasons come, not just the beginning of the school year, but different seasons, ensuring that we're communicating at the right and appropriate times as well.
So we do have some lists of contacts that we can reach out to for the various recreational elements through the DPW, because they do a lot of the field management. And that's where I think it would come into play in terms of coordination between us and the schools about maybe agreeing on what that communication is, maybe having a joint letter. And that way we can distribute it both to the rec groups, and the schools can also send it out to, after-school programs or other.
And maybe a twofer, also reminding them that it's carry in and carry out for trash at the facilities.
Absolutely. I'm the president of the softball.
Agree.
No,
We play here at Fuller Meadow, so we're not there, but like you said, if you take an inventory of the organizations, and it's not just the sports, I know one of the after-school is play, stuff like that, so there's other after-school programs that could be notified. I think it's a great idea.
And then I know, what is it, every third year or every other year, how Manning is used for summer school?
Every year.
Every year now? Oh,
Because
that's right.
it's the only one with air conditioning.
Conditioning, thank
Yeah.
you. You are correct, so it's every year.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, David.
Thank you.
What up?
Portview Methel, 34 Central. So I appreciate the collaboration. I know you've done about a year's worth of data reviews since the recommendations came in to put the speed tables in. As my husband mentioned, we know that when we met as a neighborhood, there was that additional speed hump at the top of Central. And we said we'd look at the data, we'd see what the data said. To me, the data support the fact, as he was saying, that there needs to be additional speed mitigation there. And so through our dialogue, Justin, I know that I asked you, like, what is the goal of when we present these data? Like, what are we looking to get out of that, and what is the next step? I would like to propose and see what the next step is to allocating funds to go ahead and put that there, because I think at this point we've demonstrated both through the initial traffic studies, the two before that, the congestion that's there. I think we need to go ahead before the construction season, which is why we wanted to have this meeting tonight, to put in a speed table where that original design had that speed table. And I think I sent a couple of you guys a photo of what the current condition is of the existing speed table, which is almost flat at this point. So we also, as we talked about at Central, have the grade that goes down. So even if it's the same height as what's on Washington, the effectiveness is going to be less. And also, as a design rule, you generally put speed humps in tandem. You don't do them just singularly. So I think we have the data that support that. Still looking at the survey data, the primary concerns are pedestrian safety and speed being the primary. So there's more work that needs to be done, and I'd like to move forward with having that implemented this year. Secondly, there's the piece of the pedestrian safety, which I know we've had dialogue about as well. And I think one of the biggest issues is during the winter season, where we've talked about with the DPW plowing that side of Central. So we've talked about collaboration with the school and how to make that safe, because the teachers park at the lot at the bottom of the street. It was installed with the construction of the school. The sidewalk is how the teachers and also children who use the trail get up to the school, and they're walking in the road, which is already congested. So I would like to see an increased emphasis on communication and collaboration with the DPW and the schools to be able to make that happen. Because, I mean, and Justin, you've seen pictures that Ann has emailed to you, which I don't think anybody can agree that those were safe conditions. So, again, kind of circling back, I'd like this to be a meeting of action where we can take that next step so we can go ahead and make further progress towards, some of the ones that we've seen.
So I could say on the snow piece, one of the things that I think we should ask Paul to look into. So I understand the process when we do snow removal is folks, both department and contractors are out, and the focus is road cleaning during the storm, and then when the storm closes. At some point, sometimes it's later after the storm, other times it's the day after, is sidewalk removal. Now, part of the process that's happening with the roadway is plowing of the schools, plowing of town hall, plowing of the fire department, police department. I think that we should consider that the school is open for business, not just when their parking lot is cleared, but the sidewalks on Washington and Central Street are also cleared. That may require, while they're plowing the parking lot, the Bobcat with the snow blower is coming to do that simultaneously. I view that as, now, there'll have to be some planning and shuffling that would have to happen, but I'd ask that we probably engage with Paul to see if that is something that can be made a process. Now, we're not gonna have school open if the parking lot's not cleared. I think we should also consider school is open when the parking lot and the sidewalk there. Now, I'm not saying every sidewalk in town, because the reality is we have a limited number of staff.
You
and,
need to clarify.
Sometimes our staff are out for more than 24 hours, and there's also a cost involved in that. Sometimes when they're coming back in their next shift, that's when you'll see us doing the sidewalks in 114, for example,
Yeah.
is what you see. Secondly, we're getting a lot more sidewalks in town, which is good news, which is like more that we have to clear. But I think if we can work with Paul to see if when the sidewalks are cleared and the parking lot is cleared is when school's open for business.
And based on the feedback that we had received on that, I actually already have initiated a conversation with Superintendent Goodwin as well as Steve Clifford at the schools. Part of the issue for that sidewalk in question, in particular, the pictures that were referenced, it was that storm when it precipitated sludge and then flash froze overnight. And those conditions, that's how it was everywhere across town.
We lost the.
And I'm not
everything
saying
in
it was
town.
acceptable, but like some, we have a better shot of than others, and that was a particularly difficult one. But even beyond that, under normal circumstances, the challenge with that sidewalk is you can't do the Bobcat because there's mailboxes in the sidewalk, and then there's also an electrical box. And so the question that came out of the correspondence from a few weeks ago, which is why we looped the schools in, is if that municipal lot is used for the schools, is there a chance that whoever is using the walk behind to clear the schools, could they also walk it down to the lot and back, because we can't get the DPW equipment on there. And so realistically, the only way that the DPW is going to be able to clear that sidewalk to a better standard is if they get out of the vehicle and hand shovel, or if they
So
go down there
a
with a walk
Bobcat with a
behind.
bucket can't do it?
It's too wide.
No, it's, yeah. I couldn't-
Most
I
of it
couldn't-
Well, not going down the sidewalk, but some of it can be cleared from the roadway.
Yeah,
Whatever.
they'll knock down edges and corners and things like that, but when it comes to the actual sidewalk itself, they don't have the equipment to do it, but the school does. And
So how are the
that's-
sidewalks being done now, whether it's the day of the storm or the day after?
So they'll go as far as they can and then veer off and just leave a frozen wall, right, pretty much in front
I
of
do
your
have to
house.
say, so as neighbors, we do try to help, right? So that storm, that particular storm, my son and my husband were out at 6 a.m. They cleared the entire sidewalk. There was a tiny wall, and when the DPW came back, realizing that their priority is the roads, and I don't think school was in session at that point in time, it got knocked totally over the entire sidewalk again. So it was almost futile that any of the work that we had done was out. But the reality is that the neighbors are there. It was a neighborhood first. That sidewalk supports the transport of students and teachers. That said, not everybody's always there. Not everybody's physically able to. I appreciate the distinction, because I do feel like that sidewalk for safety needs to be operational for school to be in business. And so, for that reason, so that there aren't children and teachers already in a congested area in the street. So I appreciate that. But I guess going back, I appreciate that discussion, but going back to that speed table at the top of Central, I think your data support it and support what was originally recommended. So I would like to do whatever the next step is to help us move forward into I think you had said there was some funding in your coffers or your budget the last time we met. So I don't know what the next step is, but that would be my ask tonight.
And so relative to the, that opening, driveway, I guess, coming right off 114, we've been talking about that for some time. And the original intent was to loop that in with the redesign for the $2 million grant down the road, because we were gonna loop in the lights and other items. Obviously,
Those
that's not,
intersections would all get done.
not an option at this point in time. Not dead yet, but not an option. And so what I did commit to was seeing if we could dip into our existing Chapter 90 monies or the supplemental Chapter 90 like monies that are our local match.
Which we lost our supplemental Chapter $90.
Well,
Not ours.
RAP monies, yeah.
The
RAP
additional
money.
state Chapter 90 we lost.
So things are a little tighter than typical, but with that said, I had a conversation with Superintendent Goodwin today, in fact, about whether or not the contractor from last year would carry the same price. He believes they'll probably bump it up a little bit, but even then, it would probably come in under $3,500 or so to do a raised table, which I'm open to doing, provided they can squeeze it in. I will say, and I hate to give the caveat, but when it's a small job, it's harder to get contractors, so we're gonna do our best.
So could I ask on that, is there a standard of, how far past the intersection entrance that a table should be?
So there are some MassDOT standards that we have to work around.
That's their intersection.
Which is partly why it got removed the last time around. It wasn't on a whim. It was that we were competing with existing infrastructure. So
Traffic light sensors and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
So there's loops in the road that we can't touch, physically underneath the pavement. And I drove up there today, once again, just to refresh my memory. There's also, if you're coming, driving up the hill towards 114, there's a drainage structure on the right. Then there's two mismatching, overlapping driveways, and then you're getting right up to, what is the road that splits right off, if you don't?
Fitzgerald?
No,
Street.
Park. Is it Park?
Park.
Yeah. So it's really, the only place you could put it is immediately after Park, but before Fitzgerald.
But
So
then
it's-
you
So it
have-
might not actually be in dimension consistent with the other three?
Correct. So with that said, I think there's a way to do it. But the reason it was pulled, once again, it wasn't on a whim, it was that there are existing infrastructure challenges that we're gonna try to work around. So it might not be exactly in the same image as the other three
Well,
that
and I guess,
presently exist.
and not to interrupt you, but in that May meeting that we had at the Hal Manning School, there was a design that was presented that had two on Central Street. And my understanding was that incorporated all the challenges, because I remember talking about how we had drainage features and whatnot, and we couldn't shift certain Washington speed tables because of that. But that one was still viable despite all of that. And I know that Mr. DeBonis and I walked that whole area and that section that you're talking about. It's kind of the only place, but it's actually the place that would be most impactful, because people coming off of 114, people turning to go to 114, and people turning around. I mean, I take the little ones up to school every day, and it's it's chaos. So that in itself would slow the traffic down and avoid, I think we saw like at least 2 fender benders last year, and that was just the times that I was there, so.
And we're coming up on a year from that point in time, but so I'm trying to the best of my ability, recollect, but I believe it was the loops that they didn't account for underneath the road, and MassDOT had, after we submitted that design, came back and said, you're not getting in that road because our equipment is under there.
And just so folks understand, when he says loops, that's the sensors that are, when a vehicle is on it, it triggers the lights. So if there's no cars sitting there, the lights won't change.
Right, and I know we've had some work done with that. I know, so a work in
And
progress.
I don't know who can answer this, but you mentioned it now and then in the pictures that this one table that's there is,
Flat.
so we just,
I would
How
encourage,
do
if
we
we're
s-
getting a contractor, to put that second one in to enhance the height of that current one. I don't know if it's settling or whatever it is, but I think the grade, even if it technically fits the dimension of the design at 3 inches, you can't really count it as that, because it's really below it because of the slope.
So as you'd recall, when that one first went in, we got some calls, and we actually, I think Jeff, you came out with us as well, because at that point in time, it was perceived to be flat as well. And we actually brought the engineer out in the field, and they measured it, and it was 3 inches. So, I understand and appreciate it doesn't seem like much, but it was the recommended MassDOT design and standard. We're probably not going to want to depart from that, because then you're opening yourself up to a liability, and we also don't want to damage our vehicles. So with that said, when they go in to do the one up the road, I'll have them measure it again. We'll see if it settled or it just appeared to settle.
Okay. That would be great.
It doesn't hurt to look.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
thanks.
Anything further? Yeah, sure, Dave.
So with the walk behind, with the school, who takes care of that? Is that a custodian? Is it, so who does the walk behind for the schools when they clear?
So we don't know definitively, so we had pulled Steve Clifford in a couple weeks ago, but I'm gonna follow up with him, because it may have fallen by the
So
wayside.
one thing I would ask, as you're talking to the the DPW director on this, is, now that I understand that our Bobcat snow blower can't get on the sidewalk because of utilities, light poles, and others there, and it doesn't fit, what I would ask is that while that parking lot is being cleared, that the snowbank that goes from the curb into the road, just the windrow from the plows, get knocked out with the snow blower as well. Now, it's not an easy process. Again, I've plowed for years, parking lots, municipals, and the rest. But it'll at least give a little bit more width in the morning or the morning after as folks are walking, if that sidewalk is not cleared yet. We have a snow blower on a Bobcat, and we have a big honking snow blower on a front-end loader that we bought years ago that won't be quiet, but it does move a lot of snow.
Our focus is safety, so whatever it takes, I guess.
So we're committing to another speed table on that road? Is that,
If we can confirm that we can get it in, and if we can get a contractor in. So what I'm trying to say is it might not be there in time for school, in which case we'll have to coordinate and maybe get them in on a weekend or something. They knocked it out in a day last time, so, or a day and a
Good
half.
morning.
Yeah, I think all 3 went in while we were away, but it was in less than a day and a half, because I think they took a break and everyone thought they were coming back, and then they were done, so.
Yeah, they were quick. And then I think the next day they striped it, maybe, or the week after, so, yeah. Okay.
Justin,
So,
is it- excuse me.
Yes, go ahead, Dave.
Is there a time frame that maybe I can follow up with you in like a month, or just to stay on track, or will you communicate with us, or?
Relative to snow, the speed table, or both?
Yeah,
All of the above.
You want me to reach out to Scott?
yeah,
I'll do
yeah,
that.
that's fine.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so just so we're all clear, we're going to continue to work on snow removal issues as it relates to the additional speed table, some confirmation that needs to be confirmed of where it could be due to both driveways, roadway intersections, and now what we didn't realize at the time was sensors that are part of the DOT intersection. And then at the same time, determination of that, when they do come out at a time that we can't answer now, to Justin's point, both because it's a small project and timing, but when they do come out, we will have them check the height of the other speed tables at the time, just to make sure there hasn't been any settling from the last time that they measured.
The ones on Washington Street.
Yes, yes.
Can I ask one other question? At some point during all of our conversations, there was reference to some temporary speed bumps or tables or something like that that the DPW had purchased. While we're trying to figure out those logistics, is it possible to have those temporary, understanding that once the snow season happens, hopefully we have permanent ones in, but perhaps that can be there at least to kind of get people in the idea of like, oh, to the point of everyone's got things going on and signage and all of that, not necessarily being effective in communications while they're happening. Not everybody's picking up on them. The physical means seem to be the thing that's been the most effective. So if we could implement those temporary measures in the interim, I think that would be helpful.
I'll check in with the DPW. If I recall, what we ran into the last time around was by the time within their workflow, because at the end of the summer is very busy, as it is, and so by the time they would get them in, they'd be turning right around and take them out again. But I'll check with them and see what the deal is. And also, I mean, if we find out from the contractor they can come within the month, but if they say they can't get there until October, then, we'll abuse our discretion there.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Do we have those? Do we own those?
I'll confirm with Paul. I mean,
I don't know if we
it-
still have them or not.
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you. We may have lost them in the fire. Who knows? No.
Okay.
Possibility.
Any further comments, questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you.
We appreciate your help and support.
Okay, we have an acceptance of a fire grant. I don't know if our favorite fire chief is still here, but Justin.
I'll hand it right off to the chief.
Hey, chief.
Okay, so, good evening, everybody. So I'm here before you tonight to discuss the fiscal year '23 AFG, Assistance to Firefighter Grant, that we received. It was actually a regional grant involving Linfield Fire, who's actually acting as the grant administrator, Danvers Fire, Peabody Fire, North Reading Fire, and Middleton Fire. So the grant was for Blue Card training, which is a nationally recognized training system for incident command systems, so help to streamline the latest and greatest criteria and language and so forth for incidents, emergency incidents. And the training involves a two-part process. It's 50 hours of online training followed by 24 hours of simulation and hands-on training. And through all the departments, the grant total is just over $788,000. And the objectives of the grant would be to train 20 local train the trainers for the, throughout the 5 departments. And also train, for Middleton, for instance, it would be a total of 35 members that would be trained through this program. And like I said, it would be 50 hours of online training followed by 24 hours of simulation training. And the goal there would be to do some of it on duty, some of it off duty, and also compensate those people for their time spent while off duty doing the training.
And when would the training kick off?
So it would probably start within the next couple of weeks if accepted, if approved. We would start immediately.
And will that happen at each respective station, or will that be like our folks may be going to Danvers, or Danvers may be coming here?
So I haven't figured out the actual hands-on portion of it yet. As far as the online portion, that would start immediately, and it can just be done at any time. Once the 50 hours of online training is completed, then we would need to coordinate with the other departments, the other trainers to do the simulation portion of it.
Did you say 50 hours?
50 hours of online training followed by 24 hours of simulation lab training, yeah.
Any questions? Okay, I'd
do
entertain a motion of the acceptance of the
Move to
assistance of
accept the
fire.
grant.
Okay. There's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay, next on the agenda is a right of first refusal at 3 Cranberry Lane. Cranberry Lane, when that was developed, there were several units, I think 3, might be 4. Not sure exactly, that were deemed to be income-restricted units. This is a 55 and older development. 3 Cranberry Lane is up for sale and under the process with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts when an affordable unit is being sold. The town, in this case, the town of Middleton, has the right of first refusal before it is sold to the party through a process that the Executive Office of Housing and Community Living, or whatever they're called now, the old EOCD, manages the process. So we had a similar issue like this a few meetings back on one of the other 55 and older developments, but I know, Jeff, you had some questions and some comments around this.
Yeah, so I'd like to know how, when one of these is available, how folks in town know about it, because I see in the paperwork here, if there's more than one potential buyer, there's some criteria, then it goes to a lottery. So how, when one of these is going to be for sale, how does the public know to get their name in to be considered for it? That's my concern. We put these restrictions on these projects, and hope that maybe some Middleton people will be able to get in, and if they don't know about it, there's no opportunity to be considered. So then I had asked Justin to try and get some information on that, so.
Sure, thank you. So, there are a couple elements here that we covered. I did reach out at Jeff's request, and thank you, Jeff, for putting a spotlight on this. So I did reach out to the EOHLC, who, bulk of the work they do, we certainly appreciate. And they basically narrowed it down to 3 items. If you're interested in purchasing one of these properties, there needs to be 3 qualifiers. So the first being which you have to be a first-time home buyer or have not owned property within the past 3 years. Additionally, you have to have a pre-approval letter in hand from a lender. And then it is also income and asset eligible, so you can't have more than $75,000 in hand in liquid assets. So if you meet those eligibility requirements, they do post these homes, and I asked for the link and they provided it. It's mymasshome.org/about affordable homes. And it's similar to a Zillow type of situation, I suppose, but exclusively for affordable housing. And so we're going to make a point of trying to check that more frequently, because I think part of the issue is some of these kind of fly under the radar. It's a little bit of a non-traditional purchasing process, and I think if we can help better create awareness for folks in Middleton that are struggling to stay in town, I think we talk about that a lot through several different boards and committees. It may be of value to just help make people a little bit more aware of those.
Did we find out if and when this one was posted on that site?
So I did not get a response on that about relative to timing, and so the question was, by the time it hits the board for the right of first refusal, is it already kind of a done deal? Is it too late? But we're going to try to get ahead of it one way or another.
So one way is, I think, that we can increase visibility to all of this is through the Affordable Housing Trust. We are creating and building a website that'll be connected in part of the town's website that will have, as part of that, resources for individuals such as, affordable loan processes, first-time home buyer programs, but also specifically to the site that you referenced here, Justin. Secondly, I think one of the things that we can probably have as part of the Affordable Housing Trust, and we have a meeting tomorrow night, and I'll bring this to the board tomorrow night, is identifying that we have several ownership properties within the town that occasionally may, could, will, at some point, come up through the process that folks may not even know. People may drive by Cranberry Lane all the time, or drive by Riverview or Cobblestone, or the one that's off of Maple Street, and that one's not 55 and older off of Maple Street, but not know that there are units that are required and designated for both a certain income and a certain asset level. Now, in terms of Cranberry, it also includes an age restriction. So I think through the Affordable Housing Trust, we can probably do more to educate on the whole compendium of information we're going to provide to both residents and any others that are looking at the town of Middleton to understand what's part of the panoply of affordable housing. But
We have one on Peasley too?
Yeah, that's Peasley is.
So in all this, now granted, most people probably buy them and have them for a considerable length of time, but
They do
these
come up
sales
and-
may have occurred and
Yeah,
we never knew
We just had
about.
one, was it Peachy or Peasley that we just had a couple of meetings ago, a right of first refusal? I can't remember which
I
one it
want
was.
to say Peasley.
Peasley.
Yeah, it was
Pretty
Peasley, so
sure
that's
it was
Riverview.
Peasley.
And Peachy's Cobblestone. So, and then the fourth location that I can't think of right now,
Maple Street.
off of Maple
Bridge.
Street.
Is
Maple
it
Ridge.
Sheldon?
Maple Ridge.
Sheldon, thank you.
Yeah.
That's not 55 and older, but Sheldon does have one or two units that I think are asset tested. So I'm sure the Affordable Housing Trust would
Sounds
be
good.
glad to have that as part of that. And maybe what could also be included is, what does that mean? Like, sometimes when folks think about affordable housing, they think of rentals, or they think of the Middleton Housing Authority, or the housing, the family housing that's up off of Locust. I think folks may not realize part of that is also condo townhome units that actually could be acquired.
Can I speak?
Sure.
So, with my experience in how these units become exposed, if you will, the applicants that go through any of the vetting process to become eligible, they actually file with what used to be the DHCD.
Yeah, you have to file with the
So
state.
their applications are in there. So just like this 3 Cranberry goes back to what's now the EL, whatever it is. So they are well aware of who is looking for, say there was an applicant from Middleton, they would know about that, and they would lead them there. If there's nobody from the jurisdiction or community, then they go to the lottery. So these, all of these are written
But
so
lottery still happens,
differently.
but lottery still happens if there's more than one prospective buyer. So maybe to kind of add to what you've stated, this isn't a case of the local realtor puts a for sale sign up
No.
in front. No, I mean, I understand that, but for those at home or in the audiences, it's a different sales and purchase process
Mm-hmm.
than a run-of-the-mill unit.
Right. So on the deed rider, when these are recorded, if it is meant for the program to take on a resident as priority, it will be written in that deed rider. So that would be precedence for someone from that community with one of these units coming for sale. I agree, if we could get it on the website, that's perfect. Get it at the Housing Trust Committee, whatever exposure we can do also. But there is already a working mechanism through the state for these programs.
And I also believe to be put on the list, you have to already be pre-vetted. It's not like I
That's
put you on the
correct.
list and then a unit
Yes.
comes up, then you have to
No.
prove to us.
No, it's pre-approval.
So,
That's my experience.
you know, given the high rate of home ownership in town, there aren't, and one of the requirements is that you haven't owned a home for 3 years, then there's very little rental property, so there's very few people living in town that could meet that criteria. I mean, in a different community that has a lot more rental housing, it's a lot more likely.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point, Costa. So we'll get up on the Affordable Housing Trust website both the process and information on that.
It's a great
Okay,
idea.
so is there a motion on the right of first refusal and that the town is not
Yeah, I'll move
engaged?
to decline the right of first refusal on
Second.
3 Cranberry
There's a
Lane.
motion and a second.
Can I
Any
ask
further
you-
discussion? Sure.
Yeah, I have a question. So, and I might have, where in this application is the price that we're considering? To buy it or not buy it for? Did I miss it in
I
here?
saw it,
So, yes, it is in there because it's based on a percentage of the area median income.
So where is that?
I believe, I looked at this Saturday. It might be on the very last page, Jeff.
yeah, I apologize, I forget where
I know
saw
I
it.
seen it. So these all work with market value in the area median income. So they may have bought it for 194, but they can only sell it for like 218 or
Right,
220.
so if we're gonna consider a right of first refusal, I'd like to know for how much.
So,
It is in here, I just can't remember where I seen it. Like I
So
said,
I would
read it
expect-
Saturday.
I would expect there's also a timing on this in terms of, you know, if your question, Jeff,
We have
is.
time, we have more time.
No, but what I mean is, if the question is that you would like to have the town purchase it, which would mean by engaging the right of first refusal, that would mean the town would be purchasing that unit.
And landlording it.
That would require both town meeting for the approval to purchase, town meeting for the price to purchase, and then,
I'm not saying we should buy it, I'm just saying if we're gonna
I mean, it says 3 Cranberry.
give up a right of first refusal to buy something, I'd at least like to know for how much.
I know it was two
Is it-
something,
Two
Jeff.
something, I thought.
It is in here. I
looking.
promise you that, I did see it.
I saw it, I know.
I missed it.
It's all embedded,
It was
trust me.
234 or something, or 2 to something.
You see it, what page it's on, Rick?
I'm looking for it to tell you, I can't. I thought it was handwritten.
It is handwritten, I think.
Well, you got it?
I think it's on page,
I'm sorry, I don't
look at
remember.
page 154. Is that the correct reference that you're all talking about of the PDF? At the bottom, it's handwritten? Or am I crazy?
154?
Page 154.
Yeah.
And if you look, it says 2-bedroom, and then it has what I think is a price.
That's not what I saw, though, I'm sorry.
Okay.
No,
Never
that's
mind.
not what
My
I saw
apologies.
either, Jackie.
No, this
Because
includes,
it had written down what the original purchase price was, the length of time that this owner owned it, because it's based, that's part of the mathematical equation, and then what he will be able to yield for a resale value.
I'm not,
We can follow up and
It
ask him.
disappeared.
My
I
apologies.
swear I
He's-
saw it.
Every time, over the past 10 years or so of my career, this has come up, no one's ever actually taken anybody up on it, so.
yeah, I mean, so I don't even know if, you know, here's a question to ask for the future if any one of these comes up. I don't even know if the association allows an owner to rent it out to another individual.
That's usually written in the deed rider.
that's what I'm
if it's
saying.
a-
So-
If it's allowed or not, and it's typically not. You
Not.
never say never, but it's usually
Yeah.
a negative.
Yeah.
And I would question if we purchase it, if it stays as an affordable unit.
Yeah, I think it would. I don't think that, I'm sure it would.
it's very complicated. It can, but it's not a guarantee. As in my prior community, the
think we should
Affordable
be
Housing Trust was a
landlords.
landlord, and so they were able to keep some units, but it was incredibly complicated when they initially.
I'm not advocating to buy it, I just
no, I'm
want to
just-
know the price.
Informationally, killing
wish I could
time while we all
find
look
it,
for the
Jeff.
price. Just thought you'd be
I'll-
interested.
Well, Mr. Chair, if I
you,
could offer,
Jackie.
we have a lot of other business to this
So
evening, I'll follow
So
up.
let's follow up, but I think we have a motion and a second on
You
rejecting
do.
the right of first refusal. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, if any?
I have to vote opposed because I don't know the price.
Okay. That passed on a 4-1 vote. Okay, number 10, 35 Village Road update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is as update only. It was something that came before my office a couple weeks ago, and we immediately made a point of releasing a statement to pull the public in as soon as humanly possible to make sure everybody is on the same page. So if anybody missed that, just really quickly, we were approached about a project, Ferncroft Apartments LLC. There's a property, 35 Village Road in town, that's owned by Sovereign Partners. They've owned the property since 2014, and they are proposing building 200 affordable units in that area. As referenced in the communication from my office, it's hard to not link the two issues, given that it's smack dab in the middle of the proposed MBTA community zone. Throughout that process, and you know, we certainly saw some folks on social media were quick to add their 2 cents to it, but throughout the process of the MBTA communities, it had been stressed that 40B could come in at any point and build something within that zone, and that we don't have any productive way to block development if that was people's end goal. And so looking at the situation we're presently looking at, it's the exact situation that we were describing. We don't have a lot to go off of just yet. They did file their project eligibility letter a couple days ago. They were kind enough to forward it directly to us. An official communication will come eventually through the state, which is going to trigger a 30-day window. We've spoken with legal counsel about it. Jackie and I had a meeting with Anna, our planner, today about it, just making sure we're getting our ducks in a row relative to timelines. So what we do know is it's about 200 units as proposed at 35 Village Road. It would be flanking the north and east sides, 2 structures of the existing parking garage. Paul, I don't know if you're able to pick a camera. So realistically, that's what we're looking at. We don't have anything in terms of a more definitive site plan. We know that the main entrance will be coming off of Village Road. There will be a secondary exit as proposed onto Locust Street. There's a possibility that that would exclusively be for emergency access, something that would come out as we go through the process. So the next step for this realistically is we'd like to get a public forum together, have an opportunity for residents to come in, express any concerns so that we can try to get ahead of it. I think as the community has experienced with a recent 40B project, municipalities are limited in how we can respond to these type of projects, but there are opportunities that we can try to work to identify, which I think is going to be our collective goal, is trying to find ways for this to benefit the community as much as humanly possible. In terms of immediate next steps, a website has been developed with all of this documentation on it. You can look on the town website. It's right next to the same link for the 40B down at the former Angelica site. Right now, there's not a ton on it because we don't have a ton to go on, but the information is on there. And similar to that more recent 40B, as we make our way through the process, we'll make a point of updating this regularly so that if the public is looking for information relative to the project, they'll have access to it.
Can I make one clarification?
Sure.
It's only linked to the Zoning Board of Appeals page. It's not yet linked to the homepage. We're still
Perfect.
working on that.
So at this point in time, if you're looking for it, go to the ZBA page specifically, and we'll eventually pull it around to the homepage. With that said, the public forum, we're looking at potential dates. The select board does have a September 2nd meeting already on the calendar. So we've asked Anna if she can reach out to the planning board and ZBA to check their availability. Maybe do your typical meeting 5 to 7 and then have a joint meeting at 7 o'clock, something like that. So we'll make sure we communicate that to the public. Does the board have any questions at this point in time?
Do not.
Okay.
When do we think the 30-day clock starts ticking?
Once we officially receive notice from the state.
which we think will be any day.
Any day now at this point in time. So the other benefit of that September 2nd date is it will give us a few days following your meeting to collect the thoughts of the residents and the various boards and committees. We can compile it into one document and then send it back as our comments.
In the site visit for the town officials, that'll likely be before September 2nd or after?
Honestly, I couldn't say at this point in time. Yeah. Somewhere close to it, one way or another.
Okay. Thanks. Number 11 on the agenda is an update on the WellPath bankruptcy, and we'll go forward on that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is something that came up, I don't think maybe at your last meeting, but maybe the one
Meeting
prior. And as you may recall, there was a settlement check that the town was sent, but it left a delta of about $20,000 of uncollectible bills. So at the request of the select board, I did reach out to the sheriff, and I've been collaborating and communicating with his team about ways to try to shrink that number. At this point in time, they have verbally committed to being able to find a way to cover half of it. We're trying to see if we can get all 19,000 and change, like I said, close to 20,000. And I should have an official determination in writing from them sometime in the coming weeks. I think the proposed solution is going to be, rather than them making their full last payment to WellPath, they're gonna pay out any parties like Middleton or Danvers or anyone else they might owe money to. And then whatever the difference is, they'll pay out to WellPath. So I think we have a path forward here to be made whole, but we're just gonna continue to work on it.
If I noticed something, sorry, Mr. Chair. So on this activity, it's page 193 and 194. The small print at the top says companies of town, and trip date is between January 1st, 2000 and November 10th, 2024. But it only lists 6 months' worth of hospital trips. And I mean, is this a definitive document that we're
It
settling
looks like they
on,
just did a
or-
search, probably from when the database started. 1/1/2000 seems like kind of a,
It's because it's actually showing June 3rd, 24 to November 10th, 2024. Same, you know, I'm sorry, it's not even 6 months, is it?
I'm assuming what they did is
Sorry about that.
they knew payments were from a certain date, but they probably put a much earlier date because some of them could have, previous charges could have still been in dispute or being reviewed, or there could have been issues that weren't allowing them to be paid before. So I don't think these are actual cases of before, June of '24. I don't think these are cases from 2000 or 2001.
I think they were just trying to ensure they captured the whole.
They
thing,
captured it
so-
all.
Okay, just had to point it out. Thank you.
Okay. So, may have some more clarity on this next.
Next meeting, I'd say.
Okay, okay, thanks for following up with the Sheriff's Department on that.
Sure.
Okay, number 12. Names, proposed names for the now called municipal campus. So at our last meeting, or at least the meeting before, I can't remember what it was, we talked about, as we get closer towards the January and February timeframe, where instead of having our consultants and builders and others come in with an update, when we start talking about our facility, when we move into them, what are we gonna call the facility? So I know, Justin, you charged us and others with coming up with some ideas. Where are we?
Correct. So the building committee had provided responses, as well as some members of the community, so we tried our best to take those and find the ones that we found, you know, thematically were consistent. And so overall, the Middleton municipal campus seemed to be the preferred consensus in terms of referencing the entire property. For the public safety elements, we saw public safety center, public safety building, and public safety headquarters come up pretty consistently. And then for the other building, town hall and community center, administrative and community center, and municipal services building seemed to come up with frequency as well.
So a couple of comments on that. I love the idea of community center being in in the name.
Yeah, that's-
I know a lot of us have been calling it the senior center or the senior and community center and town hall. So I think the third one you mentioned, which was administrative and, what was it?
Community center.
Administrative and community center. I like the term community center because I think we're trying to make an argument, and obviously the programming that is likely to continue to expand over there is going to be more than just traditional, what folks think of as a senior center.
Right. I would only add, I agree with that, but I would only add the words town hall because we are still a town.
Yeah, no,
I'm sorry.
so I think,
Yeah.
not so much administrative facility, but it being town hall and community center.
Community center.
Right.
First one.
I like that.
I agree
Town hall.
with
And
that.
then the other.
But let's be honest, everybody's going to call it the town hall.
Right.
Sure, sure. Am I reaching outside of the coloring outside the lines when I'm a little disappointed to not see any reference to Bart Brown anywhere?
Well, there's the Bart Brown Trail that is on the property.
And the proposed golf.
What about calling the out front, I know it's the pavilion, but the Bart Brown Green? Green being related to the original property that it was. Just my,
So,
As far as the entire property, I would rather have Middleton Community Campus because it is more than just municipal
Yeah.
functions.
Yeah.
I mean, there is, the open space that's,
like that.
The conservation space
True.
that's in the back.
Yep.
There's the green space that's in the front. So that's
I agree with you.
community campus or community facilities?
Middleton Community Campus,
Is there another word,
MCC.
is there another word than campus or facilities? I like Middleton
I
Community.
kind of like facility.
The building committee had talked about the word campus versus complex for a really long time, but they didn't like complex because it felt very
Industrial.
industrial.
Right. I don't know
Whereas a
Campus sounds
campus,
schoolish.
Yeah, I'm not loving campus either.
yeah, it's meant that like you can walk from one building to the other. If you need something, you can walk the trails. Like it's meant to like be like a walkable center.
What's another word for that third word that we could use?
I don't know, she's my synonym.
Yeah.
lady.
Come up with
It
a
can
good
be
synonym.
Middleton Community Commons.
I like that too.
There are some
And I like Bart
legal-
Brown being mentioned for the,
For the gazebo.
for all the recreation partners.
Before you get excited about commons, there's some legal implications when you call something a town common that you don't, until we know more, we may not want to trigger.
So any other words you can think of?
I'm literally doing a synonym search right now because I didn't have one.
Would you like to give thought to the public safety while we're?
Yeah.
Public Safety Center.
So, I second.
Facility better than center? I mean, center better than facility?
I like center better
Yeah,
personally.
I think that also, like the symmetry, you have the
Yes.
town hall and community center, the public
Right.
safety center. I like symmetry, so that's what,
There's balance in that. And I wouldn't get carried away with naming the police and fire.
It just says Middleton Public Safety on the building, if that's helpful.
I'm sorry, what was that?
It just says Middleton Public Safety on the building, if that's helpful.
And what does the other building say on it?
When I have that picture pulled up, Jeff, hang on, let me tell you.
The town hall and community center?
The front says Town Hall and the back says, I think, Community Center. I'm just confirming a picture of the back, though.
Well, I think you just gave us an answer to the town hall and community center name. I mean, as we were talking about administrative or community center or town hall or community center.
The back might not have,
It says community center on there somewhere.
it does, yeah.
All right.
That's Public Safety again.
Okay, I know there was a question in the audience.
I like the Bob Brown reference in there, but. Bart Brown, sorry. What do you think about opening it up? I was interested to see that this was on the agenda tonight, but what do you think about opening it up to the community, like to the schools, and maybe letting the community come up with ideas? I don't know if there's a deadline to come up with one for the purpose of engraving or
I
not.
think
but-
we're at
What
the
you're
deadline.
proposing sounds very generic, and we're not a generic town. We're a very
Yeah, I think one of the reasons,
little community.
so to your point, I think, I harken back when they renamed the now Boston Garden. Remember? They named it the, first it was the Fleet Center.
Center.
And
Yeah.
then TD Bank came
Yeah.
in and said, we're going to call it the TD Bank Garden.
Yeah.
What does everybody call it?
Boston Garden.
Boston Garden.
Boston
So
Gardens.
I think part of what we're trying to at least accomplish here is when we reference it as a town on official documents, so, you know, please go to the so-and-so office at municipal complex, whatever it's called.
And I can appreciate that. I don't think you're there.
Well, I think we're there in terms of, at some point, we're going to move from a construction site to an open facility. And part of, I think what we're trying to get to is naming it. Now, I will say, to Rick's point, I think this board and the building committee, I know we have the Bart Brown trails. I mean, I think there's been a lot of discussion around how we honor the legacy of everything that's been at that facility, not just Bart, but, you know, when I talk to people about Middleton, it was always either golf course or Richardson's. And at some point in the future, the golf course is going to fade from memory as generations change. So I think.
Which makes it more important that we do this
Yeah,
the right way.
So, but I will say,
Trying.
what we're trying to get to is the name of the actual buildings. And at least of how we're referencing this. Now, I know in the past, there's been a lot of discussions about naming buildings after folks. I struggle with that for a whole slew of reasons. I don't have a problem with different things that have been named after different individuals. Because folks have approached me and said, one of the buildings should be named after this person or that person. And that's tough when you have that discussion. So we have opened it up. We've asked folks in the public. I think it was 2 meetings or 1 meeting ago where we talked about this. What I'd like to just get us to as a board or as a town is like, what is this complex going to be called? Because at some point, we're going to have to start communicating with the public of like, when January and February comes and the doors are opening, here's what's going to happen at what I keep calling the senior center, which isn't just the senior center. Here's what's going to happen at the police and fire facility that also is going to have the opportunity for public space that will be there, including the public space that will be at the town hall portion and the public space that'll be at the community and senior center. So there's a lot of now public communication that needs to start happening. We at least have to get to a name for both the complex and I think the 2 buildings. I would say if folks want to continue to provide input, but at some point this board's just going to come up with a name because we have like 10 different names. We all call it something different.
So where we're at currently in the project, they actually need it now. In terms of trying to finalize ordering signage and other things, and then also future correspondence, even things as mundane as billing and how we're gonna, register with utility companies, our own letterhead, things like that. Like, we're kind of at the point.
So the two.
sorry, go ahead,
buildings- The 2 buildings, I think we're pretty much in agreement on.
Yeah.
Those 2 we could probably get out of the way right now. It may be or maybe not the whole place.
Well, the whole thing, or I also think too, like, once we're in there, we can think about certain rooms are gonna have to be called certain things, meeting, community meeting rooms, so I think those inside the building can be perhaps, names or that kind of thing, which doesn't have to be decided tonight and can take a lot of input from, like you said, like the children, the schools and all of that. But I have to be, Brown has to be in them, and that we got that place for a song when that could have crippled this town.
No, I agree with you on
And
that point.
I'm just.
No, I agree with
that's
you on
where I'm
that
at
point,
with
and
that.
I
You don't have
agree
to
with-
call the whole place it, but
No, I agree
it's
with
gotta
you
be
on that
there.
point, and I also agree with honoring both his legacy and the legacy of what was there, the golf course.
So in conversations with the Brown sisters, their preference specifically was the trails because the conservation element in their mind is the most important element.
That's great.
Okay.
I agree.
And they did
Then
do
that's-
acknowledge that they also put together a beautiful piece for the lobby of the town hall community center. So we have a wonderful
Framed and matted.
framed,
That's
beautiful
nice.
dedication for the lobby as well.
Okay, so there is maybe some angst around the term campus versus complex
I don't think
versus.
you're gonna like the synonyms more.
I like complex much better than campus, but don't know
I
that
do as
I'm
well.
sold.
Yeah, if
I
I had
do
to
as
take
well.
one of the two, I would agree, yeah.
So-
I'm not loving campus.
I think,
I'm indifferent.
Because the
I'm
complex
indifferent to
means it's multiple, it has multiple uses, it's,
yeah, I think the building committee just didn't prefer it. We're seeing them again soonish.
Yep.
So we can add, that was one that at some point, it was started as complex and it became campus and it never went shifted back. So
Right.
do you want their
Now,
input to that effect?
But it would never be an address, Middleton, 105. It would be 105 Middleton Police, it would never be
I mean, our address. is
an
gonna be
address
South
of
Middle Street,
Middleton
not-
Municipal Complex or campus, so it's just
right.
it's just a name gonna be thrown. I don't even know if it's gonna be on a sign.
Are those buildings, is one gonna be like 105A and one's 105B?
99
Because it
and,
would
Or
be
whatever the address-
addressed to
105
fire
for
or
town hall,
police.
community center, and 99 for public safety.
Oh, okay, so 99 and 105, okay.
No AB.
No, I didn't know if it was all had to be the same.
so we'll stick with those building names for now. We'll communicate that to the construction team down there, and then if you want to have a broader conversation about,
Did we vote on that? The building name?
So let's say it again out loud.
Public Safety Center, Town Hall, and Community Center.
And
Yes.
the jury is out on
The big one.
So just broader,
Middleton Municipal
Middleton Municipal
Complex. or
Complex.
Middleton
Yeah, I mean, that's
Municipal
tough
Not
fine to
campus.
me. Either
Community.
way, pavilion is
Instead of
fine.
municipal.
Middleton Community Complex, Middleton Community Campus.
Correct, community in
I
place
think
of
you
municipal.
still have to have municipal because if, for a town, all of your local government falls under jurisdiction of municipal government.
they're all municipal
Right.
buildings, it's municipal property.
Right,
It's all municipal.
so that's why I think we really, my opinion, we need to keep municipal in there.
Yeah, I agree.
We have another suggestion.
Yeah.
Could you, I know Justin is active on Facebook with the social media about the posts and the updates. Could you, as a board, create like a short list, complex, campus, center, whatever it is that you want to call it, and put it out there on Facebook, and then have the community
Facebook?
vote?
The
Well-
Facebook surveys are tremendously unreliable. You get people that lived here 20 years ago that still follow Middleton.
Well, I mean, it's an opinion, you don't necessarily have to go with
Yeah.
it, right?
I've,
But
I've
The time that
never
it
gotten,
takes
something
people
like that.
to
I can't
to
support
go
But you could just say
through
we
all
have
that
this-
stuff.
we're just gonna, it's like a poll, right? Like, so you could say, here's our top 5, all of you can agree on what those top 5 are, and then post it, just an idea to give some additional input.
I think if we were to do a survey, we'd probably do like a true survey through like a survey platform. Just because anyone on the internet can do a Facebook one.
That's true, I mean, like, could you, but I guess in a way to target Middleton residents, you would have to get that out in a different way. I'm just saying, it could be one way to collect some data, granted, it's unreliable in many ways, but it's a data point to have.
It's kind of late, but even at like a future town meeting, having like a little box with slips in it, people could write it and compile it.
Suggestion box.
Yeah,
So I would like to get this nailed down before the
Yeah.
doors open.
likewise.
The doors, unless we have a fall town meeting, the doors are gonna open at our next town meeting after this building's open.
So,
Can I make a, I'm sorry, Costa. go ahead.
so I'll make the motion that you were going
I'd like to make a motion to, for the names, to be the Middleton Community Campus. Should I do one at a time?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'll make a motion to name the entire, the catch-all name, the Middleton Community Campus.
I'll second that.
Okay, there is a motion for Middleton Community Campus. Is there another or any other motions for that building?
I would say community, what did we say, community center? What was the other thing?
So you're saying Middleton Community
Oh,
Center?
complex, what was the other, complex, I think was the word.
Municipal complex.
Middleton Municipal Complex, yes.
And there's a motion for Middleton Municipal Complex.
And I'll second
And
that
there's
one.
a second. So, Middleton Municipal Complex
So
and
you're a
Middleton
tiebreaker,
Community
Brian.
Campus. Okay. Rick?
For Middleton Community Campus, yes.
Community campus.
Municipal Complex,
Middleton Municipal Complex.
You can't go wrong.
I have a quarter, you want to flip it?
I'm going to go with complex.
Municipal complex or community?
Middleton.
Oh my gosh, there's two choices.
The motion was municipal.
Complex.
So this whole board's going to come to a screeching halt if we act, I would prefer community complex, but I'll take complex over campus.
All right, so Middleton Municipal Complex.
And then the two building names we discussed.
Make a
Yes.
motion for the Public Safety Center
And
and the Town Hall and Community Center.
second.
Okay, any other motions? Hearing none? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, if any? Okay, can we have a longer, more honest dialogue with input of, at some point, I think whoever mentioned it makes sense. I mean, at some point, this board and other boards are going to be meeting in the big, huge room that is in the new Middleton Municipal Town Hall and Community Center, which is part of the Middleton Municipal Complex, which is at 105
105.
South Main Street. But at some point, we're going to say that the select board is meeting at the so-and-so room.
Right.
So
Or
at
the-
some
or the-
point, this is not a decision that needs to be made today
Right.
or even tomorrow, but at some point, let's talk about the process of, you know, are the rooms going to be named after famous locations or well-known locations in Middleton? Or are they going to be named after individuals? Are they going to be named after
And that,
colors
I
or
like
birds?
and I
Or
think that would make a wonderful survey, Justin.
I
Because
like-
you're not gonna say, where's the Cub Scouts meeting in room 104 of the public, you're gonna
They
wanna
are-
name them something.
They are all named separately. Like every meeting space does have a different name. So like if you want to name some, you don't have to name all. But if
No,
you
I don't
want to
mean-
name all, you can name all.
Yeah, no,
So
but
I'm
There's like
assuming-
hearing room, community room.
I'm assuming
like-
both buildings are going to have some type of directory in the lobby.
Yep.
Right.
And the directory is going to say, you know, Town Administrator's Office, room whatever.
That's what we're ordering
But it may
soon.
say, exactly, so it may say so-and-so meeting room, which may be, I don't know, Fuller Meeting Room, or whatever the case is. So,
Do you want to include the pavilion in that conversation as well?
so can we at least just have a, kind of a plan for, beyond the two buildings in the complex, of how we want to approach that? Just because at some point, you have to have it etched in stone to go in the lobbies, or at least etched in metal or Lexite,
We'll go
whatever
through
it
and
is.
pick some of the more marquee items, like the community room, the hearing room, the pavilion.
The multipurpose room.
Multipurpose room, which is a pretty boring name that I
The
think.
community
could be-
classroom.
Yeah. Then we'll bring them forward at an upcoming meeting.
Okay. Oh, that was easy.
Actually created more
Yeah.
questions.
Clarification, Jackie had mentioned, and I think it is a legal issue, something about the common versus the green. Can you only have one common, Jackie?
Well, I don't know if it's that you can only have one, but there's certain protections. So we have a common and a gazebo. What is being built out front of the Middleton Municipal Complex is a pavilion because it's not a raised structure. It's like a flat structure with a cover, so it's a pavilion. What you call the land around it, we need to work on a little bit, but I wouldn't call it a common at this time.
So, let me kind of finish your thought here, if you don't mind, Ann. So, we have a town common with a town gazebo. I would argue, to the point I made about Boston Garden and what people are going to call our facilities, what they call it. Doesn't matter, well, it does matter what we named it. I think people are going to think of, forget the legal or other, people are going to think of the green space in front of this new Middleton Municipal Complex as the town common, or what we call our common today. Because when I think of a common in a community, I think of a green space that's near the town or city hall, or near a library, or near whatever is the anchor of that center of town. And, you know, our library's always been our center of town, but it's also been two wings of it. One of them has been the Howe Manning, and the other wing has been Memorial Hall, as we call Town Hall. So I would say that the people are going to think of the pavilion and the grass, green space around there as our common. That's what the public is going to think.
And they'll call it that.
I'm just offering that from a perspective of the person who helps manage our field use, if we can give it a different name.
No,
we
I get
have
that,
it
but.
Town Common.
But what I'm getting at is, we have something that's called our common. And,
So we're moving the common, i.e.
well, that's, I think that has to be part of the discussion. I mean, what is, like, it's not that that green space is disappearing. It's not that the field's disappearing. It's not that the gazebo that's down there is disappearing, but I don't know about you. When I think of Town Common, I think of what I described. In front of, near Town Hall and big
It makes
municipal building.
perfect sense. My point being, we just can't. And I think those soccer fields should just be soccer fields, you know, with another name. But can we move the common as it is over
So
the naming of that back to the.
I, beyond what we just called the two buildings in the complex, I think we have to have I think that should be part of the discussion. You understand what I'm saying, Ian? So what I'm saying is, I just think it's going to be confusing in the town to have a new Middleton Municipal Complex with a big green space in front,
Agreed.
and then say, but our town common's down the street.
No, we need one common, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I don't care if those soccer fields stay soccer fields, it's great, and call them something else, but
Yeah.
I'd like to see the name of the common move to.
Yeah, I agree.
You're saying
But
transfer
the green pays more
the
respect to what
name it
Middleton
was.
Common down to the new municipal
Correct.
complex.
Makes sense.
And
So
talking, okay.
I just think that should be part of the future discussion.
agenda.
We don't have, this isn't gonna be solved tonight, just like we're not naming the pavilion or the big meeting space or the community room or whatever the case is.
But the family agreed, the trails out back, they want them named after both their parents.
Okay,
So it'd be Barton, Peg, Brown.
So
Just
be it.
Texting with the girls now.
okay.
They're saying.
This is probably the most difficult thing a board does when you get down into naming things, because nobody's happy. Everybody has ideas. I would have rather had,
Not municipal.
yeah, I would have, but how magnanimous I was tonight.
All right, let's move to 13.
Okay. Surplus town property status update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we're just trying to settle into a good format to provide updates. We do have a rubric and an Excel sheet that
Yep.
we use internally, but I think a more narrative sheet that we'll just keep this and just keep tacking on underneath it and let it grow page by page, just to keep a running tab on these items. And so with that in mind, for the police station, we're in the process of finalizing an RFP for the sale of town property, and I anticipate to have a draft at your upcoming September meeting. For the fire station, we are working with the engineer to get within the $25,000 not-to-exceed scope that was established a few meetings ago. I had a call with him today, in fact, so we're pretty close on that. Memorial Hall, we made
Could I ask, once we get to brass tacks on that, when do you think that would start?
the services that they're going to
Yeah.
provide immediately.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'd say end of summer, beginning of fall. Memorial Hall, we've made contact with a few different septic companies to determine how many residential units the site can support, because that in part is going to dictate what, you can or can't have go there. So I think we'll have something that will allow you to make a determination at your September 2nd meeting. Locust Street, we are just holding right now to see whether or not it gets paired with Memorial Hall or any other factors in that area of town. And then Old Town Hall, or the current Council on Aging, we're putting together a list of projected expenses to help better inform next steps. So the obvious immediate ones, the cost of the retaining wall, but also the roof, any existing mechanicals, just so that we all kind of know what we're taking on. And that's also going to involve future conversations if so desired.
And how old is the septic?
I do not know how old the septic is there, but I think that's all in that buildings report that you all did several years before. Actually, maybe
And it was
before
in our-
Jackie got here.
It was
Right.
in our packet that if you have the date when we first heard it, it was in the packet that night, I think.
But we'll get that whole list together, because I think it's pretty daunting.
When do we expect to move on police station moving towards some type of RFP?
I would like to have that out, let me think about it here.
The draft at September 2nd meeting.
The draft will be out September 2nd, but in terms of when it's actually gonna hit the street, I'd say probably October, and I'd like to have that buttoned up in advance of
The holidays.
early to mid-December.
So the memorials and so forth that are in front of that building, are they moving to the new facility?
I would assume they'd have to, although I admittedly haven't had that question raised.
Good question, yeah.
Yeah,
As well as, are the flagpoles just gonna be sold with the facility, or?
I think the
Realized.
flagpoles.
We have new flag
Well, unless there's anywhere.
Well, I know
else
we're
in
gonna have new
town.
flagpoles at the new facility, sorry, the Middleton Municipal Complex, but I didn't know if,
We can repurpose them somewhere
Anywhere
else.
else.
I'll talk with Paul about both of those items.
I expect whoever buys that's gonna level the entire site,
I agree.
unless they have a need for a jail.
Are there just like stone, or like flat face, round
They're,
back stone?
they're
yeah.
granite
They're memorials, yeah.
memorials.
Like 2x3 tops.
Okay. So we'll continue to update this and just do just a quick run through, just so we keep tabs on it. Because I think there's just a lot of balls in the air in general, and then for this topic in particular, there are a lot of balls as well. So I want to make sure we stay on top of it.
And where are you in thought on a potential RFI for
Memorial Hall.
Memorial and/or Locust?
I'd say also probably this fall.
Okay.
But
Oh, okay.
I want to give more time to get responses on that, because
I
I think
agree.
anybody who's seriously interested is going to want a little bit of time to give a thoughtful response.
And dig in.
Like 60 days or
No, I
something
agree with
along
you on
those
that.
lines.
And in that vein, as it relates to Essex, South Essex Sewerage District, I know there's been some conversations going on specifically regarding 35 Village Road. Anything that we may be able to have some clarity as to connectivity over on Locust Street?
So I will reach out to them, but at this point in time, they're not gonna commit to anything. But I think the question being, when we get a little bit further down the road on this 35 Village Road thing, is that gonna open up potential opportunities for the town? Relative to that site, and so it's not so much that I want to pump the brakes on it, but I want to kind of see how some of the dust settles around that, because I don't want to forego an opportunity inadvertently.
Yep.
In so many words.
100%.
Okay. Well, thank you for the update on that.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
select, yeah, go.
if you wanna-
Oh, I'm sorry.
Any update on the School Street property?
The glue factory? No, not at this time. So for that one, realistically, the best path out is gonna be some type of mass development grant that we don't have access to right now. So I'm gonna kind of back burner that, because I don't think we have an appetite to pay for that out of free cash or anything else.
No.
I mean, I just think at some
Just the
point,
mitigation
the rest of that
alone.
building's just gonna go
Yeah.
and drop. And, I mean, I know your predecessor had done some review of what the cost would be for what's in there to dispose of. And so that's something we don't, I mean, the costs that we have of mothballing and/or doing something with our existing buildings that we're currently operating is gonna be high enough as it is. But as somebody that lives in that neighborhood, I appreciate the fence that's finally been put around it, but God, I'd love to get rid of that eyesore.
I'll dig into the history a little bit on it, but really, I think the only path forward is going to be grant monies that we don't presently have access to.
Yep. No, I think you're absolutely
But
right.
if we can line everything up and have it ready to go for when that valve gets opened again someday, which at some point they have to stop.
No federal grants that we could apply for?
Not today.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
federal, I said.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
today.
Not right
Not
now.
today.
So I think we're getting
That
it from
well ran
both
dry.
sides right now, but we'll figure it out. I'm committed to finding a solution there.
Okay, select board schedule look ahead. So, and part of that is for the rest of the calendar year. And are we having any, let's talk a little bit about, and I know it's in the package, dates, realistic decision of whether or not fall special town meeting?
I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't think it's needed.
At this, unless something
That's,
significant happens, but
good news. I'm not a fan of fall town meetings, so that's good news to me.
it's been established. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna, I don't think it's gonna happen.
I'm fine with either the one that was in the packet or the one that was emailed today.
Oh, I didn't see the one that was emailed
Yeah, it's
today,
right here.
sorry.
Doesn't
Either
matter.
one
It
is
just
fine
moves a
with
couple
me.
meetings up a week.
In January and February and March.
And so, and I'm only just realizing this now, the amended one did shift a meeting into St. Patrick's Day, which for.
March 17th.
Yeah, me personally, is not a big holiday, but for others in the room it may be. With lineage that.
So if we hold a meeting on the 17th, will you bring corned beef and cabbage?
Jackie, well, you want it from the Bresnahan, not the Saltzback. I'm just saying.
I have sources, but I'm not the one that does it, so I can,
I could pull it off,
it's
Jack.
not the worst holiday I've worked in my career.
That one works better for me than.
Yeah, no, I, comments from anybody else on the updated schedule?
I have none.
So I know what is not on here, but I'd really like to also talk about budget, and more specifically, budget Saturdays. So I'll be a broken record again. I really think we need to move from the 1st February to a later date, because I think when we have our first Saturday discussion, we're having a lot of what-if discussions around Masco, zero line of sight into Essex Tech, and hopefully this year, real line of sight into the elementary school.
I think with by the first of Saturday in February, Masco is virtually done.
But they're not communicating that it's virtually done.
No, you see, it's the key thing, the only thing that's not there is health insurance.
Right.
Yeah, that's
which
still
they
an
wouldn't-
an estimate, but you have the superintendent's recommended budget, you have the net school spending numbers, you have the chapter, 70 and the regional transportation that's, so the other things that, could be changed by the school committee go, up or down, it tends to be not significant in numbers, and so that the share of our assessment is sort of fairly well determined. They'll go up or down a little, but not that much. I went to the school committee meeting last night, and they, Scott and Steve told the school committee that by late fall, they would have a draft budget to them. It would, the unknowns, obviously would be health insurance. And also, they would have to, wouldn't have that much of a clear view as to any column movements that they would have to, or budget
Or
for.
retirements.
So, there would be work needed to be done on that, and they would change how they come up with, line items by looking, and they would do it by looking at the FY '25 actuals and adjusting line items by some percentage. If they think they can't hold it steady. And their goal would be to avoid an override.
I would say that's all of our goal.
Exactly.
Well,
No, I mean, I appreciate that.
Can I
So-
make one schedule note, please? The only other thing that I would ask you to consider, I understand moving dates later, I get that. I would also offer that I think it was a big improvement this year, how early the warrant books got out in the mail. And if that's something, so like this year, they were mailed on April 22nd, which means that I was getting it into the printer by the end of the first full week of April. So if that's something where we liked that level of communication in advance, and that being the date that the warrants go to print, if we go much later than you have been going, that becomes a very tight window of turnaround for us and makes it very hard to achieve that. So I think, please be mindful if we make shifts that is a consequence of making that shift.
It doesn't condense the schedule, it just.
No, I wasn't, I just think the first Saturday in February, we're still in so much what-if discussion. And I know we have a follow-up on the first Saturday in March when we really do our capital discussion, and we have more brass tacks then. One of the things just on the whole budget process, I've also talked to Justin about the possibility of some of the smaller departments that we don't really give enough attention to on the Saturday meeting. I'd like to, as we continue to have department heads that are coming in before us, I'd like to say some of the budgets that we're probably not going to address on a Saturday budget, some of them come before us at regular scheduled meetings for 15-minute discussions on the so-and-so budget that maybe we don't talk about. I think it's a good opportunity for us to refresh on their budget, to recognize the department head or leader there for the work they're doing, but also understand if they have needs that they just want to talk about.
So when you say the first February, are you saying move it up 2 weeks or 1 week?
I think a week.
Does that really make a difference?
So that lands us on Valentine's Day.
And the President's Day
So
weekend.
are you nondescript on that? Does that holiday not matter to you either?
I'm like not a tremendously romantic guy, but I suppose, but on that day I need to make some exceptions.
It's
so.
also President's Day weekend, which feels like a very
It's a long weekend.
challenging thing to do to staff, and
Yeah.
it is the kickoff of school vacation week.
Right.
Which anytime we get to school vacation
We
week,
can't do that.
we struggle because we lose all of our school-aged
I thought
participants'
School vacation was the
parents.
third week of February.
Usually lines up with President's Day, though.
It does, yeah.
Yeah,
Does.
16th.
So the 7th is the Saturday because it's February 1st is a Sunday. So that is the third week of February.
Okay, so we're actually later than this year.
So I think that.
So we are
will
automatically
solve-
later because of the 7th.
By a
Correct.
few
Okay.
days, yeah.
Okay, so that's a week later anyway.
That was my complaint last year. It's been my complaint for a couple of years. Okay. I'm okay with the schedule as it shows here.
The ones that was emailed today.
Yes, which, thank you for sharing this. I hadn't seen it on email.
That's not this one.
No, this is the one that's,
Packet, that was the email.
it says as of
It was
August
emailed
5th.
separately.
This is the
I
one that
followed
says
up
as of
today.
August 5th.
Yeah, it was midday today, I followed up with a amended one.
Okay. So, I don't think we need a motion on that, just if folks are okay with this. As always, I'll say again, if something's coming up professionally or personally, you can't make a meeting, try to let us know a little bit in advance, and if it's something that we can shuffle schedules, we'll try to do so, unless it's impinging on Valentine's Day.
You're gonna get us all in trouble.
It's too far away from me to worry about.
Okay, any updates and announcements that board members have?
Continuing on with the school committee meeting last night, they talked about looking at ways to increase efficiency, since all three towns, have said, no to regionalization. And there are about 15 or 17 instances of communities having, their elementary school in a superintendent union and their high schools as a regional. And here at the Tri-Town, we're the only ones of those instances that have two superintendents. In all the other instances, there's only
Here.
one superintendent.
That's correct.
So, they would, may look into what that would mean and how it would get accomplished.
So,
So, for instance, Marion, Mattapoisett, and Rochester each have a pre-K through 6 elementary school with a superintendent union. And all 3 communities send their 7th to 12th graders to the old Rochester Regional. And both the regional and the superintendent union of the elementaries have the same superintendent.
So they form a full K through 12 district by virtue of a union and a regional agreement.
but different school committees.
Yes.
That would be tough, because then you'd have someone, 4 school committees.
Well, the union has 4 school committees now.
No,
I'm
now
saying,
you'd
but
have
the
5.
superintendent,
No.
the one person
No.
would,
You
have
would
3
have,
now.
you have the 3.
Right.
Plus the Tri-Town Union School Committee.
Yeah,
One.
plus Masco.
So there'd be 5.
No, there will still be 4. It's just that it'll be the Masco School Committee, Boxford.
The no more
Middleton,
Tri-Town Union
Topsfield,
School
And
Committee.
then one that's representative of all 4 school committees. Right now, the Tri-Town Union School Committee has representatives of the 3 towns. That new committee would have representation from the 4 districts, I
Still
think.
5 school
That's 5
committees.
school committees.
5 school.
No, because the Tri-Town Union
There's only
School
one.
Committee would go away.
I don't know if I love that idea.
I think. But, they haven't explored exactly what would be, but it would, it's not only potential economic efficiency, it's also potential educational.
So what's the economic,
You have one superintendent.
you have one superintendent, you're still gonna have,
You have one finance and operations person instead of 2. You have one sped director instead of 2. You have one HR person instead of 2. Would it
so,
work?
but I will tell you, you're not gonna have less staff. You may have less individuals named in the position. You're not gonna have less net staff. So,
But if you have, and I have no idea what the numbers, would look like, or if it's even has any interest in, but if you have, one potential benefit is, having a consistent, like, sped program, because right now, there are kids that are in-district programs in 6th grade, and then the next year, they're unilaterally out-district placed, because parents view the program at Masco as not being the same as in the elementary. If you have the same, potentially, it could, so looking at
because
it-
you have the same superintendent, you're assuming they're gonna have the same programs.
Curriculum, and that doesn't
If
necessarily
you,
mean
if you
true.
have the same the educational thing, I think would flow better. But, I'm not saying that it's a good thing, I'm saying it works for the others, 15 or 17 instances in which elementary.
So how do we know it works?
You are talking Rochester, New Hampshire.
No,
No.
No,
Massachusetts.
Rochester, Mass.
How do you know it works? Because they have the structure, you're making an assumption that it doesn't work, that it does work, which is the same assumption that our structure doesn't work.
I'm not saying doesn't.
No, I'm not saying you are, but the argument is, if we are this way and everybody else is that way must work and ours doesn't. Like, guess what? Both structures can work.
Not to interrupt, but would it be thoughtful to put this on an upcoming agenda, because this was only an update and we're starting to veer into discussion, and maybe it would be more helpful to have a more thorough conversation
it'd
at your
just
next
be-
meeting?
So I just
Yes.
think that would be helpful, mainly for the fact that this board has taken a
I
pretty
will answer
firm
that one.
position in the past on regionalization of the elementary school.
Yeah, but this is not regionalization, your budget is still town control for pre-K through 6.
Yeah, I'm gonna bite my tongue, so, okay.
So on a future agenda, we'll have an
Future
item.
agenda it would be.
I believe the school committee will have a presentation on this topic at their September meeting.
Okay. Anything else for updates or announcements?
The Citizens Academy registration will open next Tuesday, August 12th, for anyone interested in participating.
Questions or contact? Jackie Bresnahan. See it right here. Okay. We are going to be moving to a second executive session pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, to discuss strategy with respect to non-union personnel, compensation and class discussion regarding all non-union personnel, and we will not be returning to open session. I would take a motion.
So moved,
For
adjourned.
a second.
Second.
Okay, there is a second.
Rick.
Could you take that? Thank you.
Costa.
Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I am a yes.
Thank you.
8:18.
This is short, right?
Paul, we're out.